And I learned this from Josh, so not ripping
Shout,
anybody off.
shout out to Josh as we get started.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Ryan McGuire here with Third Coast Grappling. I'm joined by my partner Oliver, and guest Jordan Holly, and the Starlord Josh Leduc. Hearing my own voice, this is like throwing me off. Like I'm talking, and there's like a little bit of a delay. I don't know. How's it going, guys?
Good. How are you?
Can't complain. Another day in paradise.
Yeah. What about you, Oliver? How things going?
Man, this is a good sanity check for me right now. I've been around 3-year-olds, 6-year-olds, and a working wife, and this is a good release for me. So,
yeah, I hear you. So, I guess we'll get into
it. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust this lighting.
Yep, sounds good. All right, so I guess current news. Terrible lighting.
I think he looks great. Movie star quality.
I look good on mine. I don't know.
You look good on mine too. Everybody's looking good. But yeah. So I guess event news coming up. We're kind of at a weird standstill right now.
Yeah, very weird
time of history to be in, man. It's I mean, I know we had a lot planned. We had a lot in the fire there before this whole COVID thing went down, and then I know we're not the only promotion, but man, it's been a hell of a standstill for grappling at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Josh, you and Jordan both own gyms. How's this kind of affecting you guys so far, and what are y'all looking like for in the future?
It's not affecting Jordan at all. Come on.
Well,
he's the Texas Gordon Ryan. We'll get to that later.
My take on it is, it's worse for these guys that have giant gyms that have like hundreds of students. They're probably shitting their pants because their overhead's high and stuff like that. Mine's really low. My guys are super loyal. And so, to be honest with you, I lost students. Like my kids' class is pretty much gone, and I took a hit. You know what I mean? But for sure, it's not too bad. And we get it in, so is what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, to echo that, like my overhead's pretty fucking low too. Like not Texas low, but I opened my gym like 14 months ago, so I'm not in one of those mega facilities that cost like $20,000 a month to run. So I mean, we're gonna be fine. I mean, I have shit stashed away, so that way if nothing comes in for like 3-4 months, I'll be fine even without taking out loans and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, like with Third Coast Grappling, we don't have a lot of overhead either, so it's kind of it's going to be easier to bounce back from. But we did we took some losses like everybody did, cancellations. I'm sure you guys with seminars, events, and other stuff you had lined up.
2 seminars that I had for this year, and it's like pulling teeth for me to get seminars here in Texas. And I lost both of them already. So
people are tired of you, hurting their legs. So they're like,
kidding, dude.
It's ready for that choke seminar coming up, right?
Yeah, I got
Those it. Chokes.
The funny thing is, I upload videos of side control, wedging, and shit that is like super old school and high percentage. No views. If I show some bullshit leg lock that would never work on anybody unless they had a coma, a million views. If I do a fireman's carry into a 411 entry. Oh, it's gonna go all over the internet. But if I show something that actually works, oh man, nobody wants to see that. So
it's all about that finish, right?
Bro, it's all about the fanciness.
It's all about the flash.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, what's coming back after this? What's next? What are we doing after the coronavirus? What's gonna happen?
Well, I guess I'll start off. I was gonna go on the 155 CJJ, but
170 now or what?
No, 155. Yeah, thank you, Josh. Josh got me on 45, so I was going to be on 55, but we don't know if it's going down yet. And besides that, I honestly think it's going to take a while for grappling promotions to pick back up because small towns like mine, where they're not like super, super locked down, we can still get back to training. But like Houston, Dallas, fucking New York for trials, California, they're the biggest lockdown areas. You know how long it's going to take for everybody to be kosher to run an event, man? Like, fuck.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. Josh, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the 2 states we're in, Florida and Texas, are probably gonna be the best just because it's so spread out, So, like Jordan was saying, LA is gonna be shut down for a while. So's New York. So, I mean, Kasai will probably have to move around. Like you guys are in Houston, so I mean it's a big city, but you guys can go in the outskirts possibly or like a town over. So I think I'll be back fairly quickly just because my events don't take as much as yours do to run. And as far as like teaching and stuff like that, I already told myself, it's like, look, if the government keeps me shut down for more than 2 months, I'm going to open up anyways. Cause like, then after that, it's like, you're going to have to fucking come and take it, guys.
Hope they know jujitsu and shit.
Yeah. Have more guns than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, it's going to be, I'm just waiting. I think kind of the trigger point will be like, all right, guys, majority of your people back are training again. Schools are open. We're able to, once people start training again, I'll feel more comfortable getting ready. But I do have some books or some dates already kind of tentatively planned out for the summer and beyond. And hopefully our fall and winter dates hold firm too. But I mean, right now, with the state of the market, people, you might be able to go to public places again, but like, who's going to want to go get jammed in a music venue with 1,500 other people so quickly after this? I don't know. It's going to be, I don't know how it's going to do. Cause I know for our events, we rely a lot on the live gate, we on that part, but also our streaming revenue. So, but if we're not able to sell out at the events like we were selling about before, we definitely can't even think about putting those sort of cards on we were.
I think that honestly, it's going to be like, you had a great idea, man, the other day, and I don't even know how to say it because I don't want nobody to jack you, but the streaming with like the Cash App ability for people to like pitch in, because like a lot of times, for instance, here in Texas, a lot of times I'll put people will come to see me lose or to see me win. You know what I mean? So like if they're coming to see me lose, I'm not getting ticket sales on that, right? But if somebody from like, I got almost 5,000 followers, which isn't nothing compared to like Josh or something, right? But like, people all over the world might say, hey man, Jordan, he's all right. I like that guy. Let me give him $5 Cash App, $20 Cash App. I might make a bigger lick on that. And if y'all took a percentage of that, that could be a way for guys that don't have to like crowd into like big buildings, but still get to see grappling and we still get to grapple. So I think it'll be
that's kind of something how I looked at it. And it's going to be a funny story, but I was never into campsites, never into like those like chatterbaits or whatever. But I read like the Vice articles and stuff. So I was like, what if we did like a campsite for jiu-jitsu fighters? You know what I mean? Like somebody, oh man, he just hit that awesome heel hook. Here's $20. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
subscribe to our Third Coast Premium.
Yeah, like Third Coast Premium Snapchat. But the guys are getting tipped or they're getting paid or they're getting, throughout the match, win or loss. And I just think it's a way for people to kind of like, throw money down basically virtually as the match is going on. I don't know.
It's like those old school like Chinese cockfights you see in movies and shit where they're in a big like ring. People are just chucking money in and shit.
It's like Requiem for a Dream.
Oh man,
yeah.
Or being a stripper.
Really dark. We're getting really dark there.
Maybe I'll get more money if I wear a G-string.
They'll get more money to not wear a fucking G-string.
That's true, man.
$5 to wear a G-string, $25 not to do it. How about that?
Dude, we'd have to beware of the next entry series DVD you put out after that.
There you go. Enter the thong.
Yeah, enter the thong. Yeah. Oh man. Basically, we're all just basically doing this. We're all sitting around here podcasting each other and talking to each other and just seeing what's coming from it. There's a lot of craziness that kind of preceded all this. You had Substars happen. You had the coronavirus stuff happen. You had, the stuff with Claudio Duvall happen. You've had so many big jiu-jitsu news stories, and it's been, I've never seen more drama. You guys have been around it longer than I have. Especially Josh and Jordan, and I've never seen more just grown men on Instagram just tearing each other down for the world.
Busy time, man.
It's like
makes people crazy.
Version of Jerry Springer. I don't even. I can't help but watch, but I don't know, man. It's
it's a weird time, man. Because jiu-jitsu athletes have never had more following than they do now, but they also had never had less knowledge on how to sell a fight or promote an event, so they're pretty much just going out there and talking shit, thinking that's all it takes to, get a match and make some money. But everyone's trying to follow that Gordon Ryan path, and they got to go back and watch some old pro wrestling. Like, it doesn't always have to be the heel, you need your baby faces, you need your hometown heroes, and you got to be able to wheel and deal those tickets to make the money. So, especially now,
too.
Yeah, you got to win. That's a little bit of a requirement, but I guarantee you, if I went out and did my Chael Sonnen impression over and over and over and just still lost, people would still pay to see me lose.
And Chael's great, but like you look at like AJ, he was still able to kind of parlay, like basically losing all of his grappling matches into, now his Bellator career is kind of taken off a little bit. He's got some wins, he's looking good, but I think it just all depends, man.
It's good marketing, but that's how AJ is. He didn't change himself to get out there. He just kind of amplified who he already was on the inside. I think.
Yeah,
When you see
and
people
that's
come in and
key.
be fake, that's when it's key, and you can see through it.
Yeah, you got to be able to take your personality and then just add a megaphone to it, And like when I'm managing guys, that's basically what I tell them. I mean, same thing with Jordan's. Like I told him, like, don't go out there and fucking shit talk unless you want to. And then when I got to know Jordan more, I realized he was a fucking shit talking machine. I'm like, let that shit shine through.
Hey, play Call of Duty with me.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
They're like, "Are you 14?" He's like, "No, I'm actually a full-grown adult." Fuck
No.
I'm just
Full
kidding.
grown's a big word.
No, but man, it's just been interesting just seeing all the different stuff come out. I think everybody being stuck inside, everybody being stuck. For the most of us, I'm not going to name any names. Have not been able to train. I'm not going to say any names on this podcast whatsoever. But
First rule of Fight Club, man.
it's just been it's an interesting time. So I mean, when we get, they're saying April 30th might be like the kind of the ping date. Like we might be able to say, okay, we're going to start easing restrictions. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And that's like, but I mean, part of me, and this is like being like the full on pessimist, there could be a good chance we don't see another professional grappling event, not a submission underground or something like that in 2020 again. We might have lost a year.
I don't know if it's going to be not in 2020, but I think the summer's pretty much written off, at least for these big events. I know I'm targeting to do some like Kumite style events towards the end of May, beginning of June, if the travel restrictions kind of loosen up. And if they don't, I'll just do them with local guys like you guys were planning to do your event. But it all really comes down to whether or not the government will kind of step in and enforce it. But on the other hand, like I really think people need something to watch right now. And I don't know how deep you guys got into like MMA, but Kirik from the Underground, he's the guy who made the Underground, which is like the biggest forum in MMA. He came out a couple months ago or like towards the beginning of this, he's basically saying the UFC should go out there and put a fight on for free, make that Khabib versus Justin Gaethje for free, just because there's so many people sitting at home right now with nothing to do and no sports going on that everyone would watch it and it would build more fans down the line. So, I mean, in my head, that's what I'm thinking right now is like, what can I book right now? And it might cost me money in my pocket right now, which is going to hurt. Yeah, Jordan always. But what can I do and get it together? Because I got all the streaming shit already and put it on no time limit in a gym somewhere or be like on a hidden island and build that hype and be the only event that's happening right now. And I think that's what Submission Underground's trying to do. They're just not doing a good job with it.
And shout out to Chell, man. I mean, he's always trying to push the envelope, but I just think I don't think the kind of the ramifications that could have came from having that event go on. Craig Jones versus Spencer Pratt's ex-bodyguard isn't something that I would have, neglected CDC guidelines and all that on to put the show on. We're talking Gordon Pachecha here, something like that. Maybe we do that. But, I mean, shout out. I mean, Chell, those guys are trying to do what they can do. I guess Craig Jones is fighting Vinny Magalesh.
It's a good match.
Coming up.
Be a good one.
Not interested in that at all.
I mean, neither. I mean, it's going to be.
But the rest of the card, the problem is the rest of the card is the MMA guy who's going to lose versus a high-level grappler.
Yeah, and that's the problem with Submission Underground, and that it's a fucking 5-minute round. Like, I don't want to see any of that bullshit, Like, I love Chael as a person, but as a promoter, shut the fuck up. And, like, this is, like, it sucks because I get a lot of my guys on Submission Underground and stuff like that. But, like, I do not want to see 5 minutes of regulation and then EBI overtime. It's plain and simple.
And I think that's what it comes down to is like Chell, it's his project, it's his product. And this will go to where I think that if you start a grappling promotion, you need to know every aspect of it, from your matchmaking to your production guys. And Oliver will tell you straight up, ask him day of show what I'm doing. I'm right in the middle of it. The way that the lights are set up to this, I mean, you have to know how to run your sound. You have to know how to run your lights. At one point I had to be an MC fill-in because ours was getting drunk in the bathroom.
Not me.
It wasn't Oliver. But man, like you have to know how to do all that stuff. And I think it's just he might be a little out of touch with what I think is what's really resonating for grappling, because as we know, tag team grappling is not going to work when it's two high level guys with 25K on the line.
Yeah, with 25 on the line, dude, it's not going to work.
It's not fun anymore. It's like I want to win my 25K.
Yeah, he's going too much for the gimmick. Like, you guys do the gimmick stuff too, and I'm a big believer in the gimmick, but Chael is going too hard on the pro wrestling aspect of it. You got to find that fine line. You know, he's trying to get these big name MMA guys and feed them to the grapplers to build them up. Like, I understand what he's doing, but one, I don't know how many people actually have UFC Fight Pass, because Fight Pass isn't doing a good job of promoting him. You know, I think I don't even know how much money he's spending, because he's making a lot on that UFC Fight Pass contract, but there needs to be more marketing, because they tried for a while to do the YouTube thing, and they were on Flow Grappling, and then they were on Fight Pass, but they just, whatever the branding aspect of it that Fight Pass is doing isn't working for them, and it's not building excitement.
And that's why you've seen with our kind of our brand is when it comes to like a Fight Pass or a Fight TV, you need to have your own marketing and your own content in-house and be able to promote your own product, because they're not going to do for it. That's a benefit of being with Flow Grappling, is that, but theirs is more condensed to about 2 weeks. But if you do your own content in conjunction with what Reed and all those guys are going to do for your event as well, especially if it's a big event, I mean, they've crushed the coverage for the last 2 events that we've had and with content. So, and we do our own. So I think that's something you have to take into account as well. Fight Pass is saying, hey, here's a flat fee amount of money. We'll uplink the stream. We'll do the production, and have a good day. With Flow Grappling, we do it all. We do the production. We do everything. Basically, what we provide to them is, here's an uplink to a stream. They stream it on their platform, and then they market and promote it, which is to their guidelines. So they'll have more viewers come fight night. Whereas ours is more of a prolonged marketing campaign, to where we want to have general awareness throughout the next couple of months, to where theirs is more focused on that 2 weeks to try and capture capture as many audience members as they can.
And I think the truth is always somewhere in the middle, or like the right thing to do. I think there needs to be a mixture of everything. You know, I think what Flow does with a 2 week timeline is not enough, but I also recognize that if, like, I told Jordan, I tell everybody that goes on Flow Grappling, it's like, if you show out on there and do something insane, it's going to go viral. Look at Marvin Costello and Jeremiah Vance. You know, those guys, it made their career. You know, they fought a couple scrubs and hit some crazy moves, and it made their career. So Flow Grappling definitely has that aspect of it. The UFC's production value is way better with UFC Fight Pass. Like, when I was at Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, I got to go in and see their truck and stuff like that. Dude, it's millions and millions of dollars.
And that's what I tell Eddie. Like, I've told Eddie, I'm like, man, like, we do all of our own stuff, but to get to the production level that they're at, it costs serious. That's like broadcast, like ESPN level, like broadcast quality stuff.
Like, everyone says the truck, they literally have a truck. You know, they have a production truck. And when I was doing the Substars pay-per-view, like, that guy was like, well, I want everything that Fight Pass does. I'm like, well, that's cool. Like, do you have a couple $1 million to put into a fucking production truck? Because I'm working on like a $30,000 platform, which, like, it works and it does a really good job, but I'm not going to be able to pull up those instant replays and send them over to my guy next to me and like, hey, cut this up and let's put it on the screen. Like,
because that's manpower, plus you have to have all this specialized programming and equipment.
And quickly.
Boy, so the way we do our production is we have a great crew of guys that I've worked with in music that have stuck with us pretty much since day one. Jordan's seen basically the same guys that our stuff, and we try to do it collaboratively as like just to build it up, because it all looks good for all of us. I mean, the guy that owns the production company that's a partner with us, he does a lot of really, really big events in the area, and I mean, it's always good to have that sort of kind of clout behind him when it comes to venues or whoever we're working with. So production is key, though, and hopefully, you know, I'm hearing some rumbling here and there, but I think Flow Grappling, I think they would benefit, you know, very well from having a universal production scheme, because you got some of these guys that, you know, like, well, we have our commentators, and for better or for worse, people shit on them, people love them, whatever, I don't care, but, you know, if they could like formalize their production and kind of have it set up for the same for all their partners, and then run commentary and stuff that way, I think you'd have more continuity across the platform in terms of quality, rather than somebody doing, you know, like the Jits King stuff with the cell phones on the tripods. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be a level of production value. If you're expecting people to pay that amount of money, I think it needs to be reinvested back into the production.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So, but let's see. We're, Jordan. So dude, you've just kind of had quite an end of a 2019 and a hell of a start to 2020. So let's talk about that a little bit. So walk us through the combat jiu-jitsu. Actually, walk us through the Rosenthal thing, because there was some heat there for a little bit. Frank's been wanting that fight back, so I want to hear some freshness on that.
Well, I was supposed to fight Frank over a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, something like that. And then right before, he had a match with Ash Williams, and he calls me, real respectful, totally cool. Calls me, let me know, hey man, I got to pull out. I got this match up inside. I'm like, oh, it's all good, man. So it doesn't happen, right? And it probably wasn't at the right time. I wasn't the grappler I am now. And anyway, I'm playing Call of Duty one day, and Josh DMs me, and he's like, hey, Rosenthal needs a match for Submission Underground. And everyone was tagging me in it. So I look at my phone, and I'm like, all right. So Josh, messages him, sets it up. I don't even check the scale, right? I'm just like, yeah, fuck yeah, I want it. And I go, and I look at the scale. I'm like 165. I'm like, oh, shit. Because I've been eating like an asshole. Just terrible food.
I relate.
Chips and salsa, just diet sodas. And so we cut weight. Alana got me down to 150, like eating real clean for like 3 weeks. And we went in, and I think he didn't think I was going to be able, or that I was going to be confident in attacking legs or something, or that my overtime sucked, because typically it had before. And I backstepped on him. I dominated the leg entanglements, and then just, kind of proved him the better leg locker. And then we went to, and then I went and passed his guard in like less than a minute. Once we broke from there, and like I say, you run out of time, and then we got into side control. He didn't really want to, really open up, playing it real safe, you know what I mean? Which is something I knew about his game. And so then I just rubbed my elbow in his face and made it nasty, because that's what we do in the gym, And so, and then at the very end, I put a little icing on top with the mount, because, I know there's no points, but how much better is it going to look if I mount him, So I mount him, and then after that, we go to overtime, and in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm dominating this match. I dominated this fool for 5 minutes, and a part of me was like, oh, you could lose overtime now, it's no big deal. But then I was like, man, fuck that, I'm gonna beat this dude. And so then we get to overtime, and I've been doing overtime rounds every single night in my gym, and got out of his back control. I felt like the last choke he tried, he was like, oh, and I was like, he's tired, he's breaking, he's giving up. And so then I get on his back. He tried to get away, but I got that Holly strength, I squeezed him, and I chair sat on his ass. And after I chair sat on him, that face crush, Josh has been telling me about that, above anything above the neck is or anything above
below the eyes.
Above the eyes, whatever. Get it on his head
thing, right?
And break his face.
Like anything below the eyes are going out.
Yeah, so I choked his face, and he tapped. He wanted out, And then the match with and then we went to Combat Worlds. And to be honest with you, on Combat Worlds, I was worried, because like everybody's hyping me up, like, bro, you can't do leg locks whenever there's strikes, because they're gonna knock you out. And so I'm like, shit, dude, I don't want to get knocked out. And so I'm like, oh, fuck. So I'm like, I guess I'm just gonna play top, but I'm not an amazing wrestler. So I'm like, I gotta make these fools shoot. So like the first match, I was like, the guy had one hand. So I'm like, well, shit. If he's got one hand, he can't collar tie with his left hand, so he's gonna stand right foot forward. I'm like, I'm gonna scissor leg his ass. So he runs right at me, and I scissor leg him. He got out of the entanglement and slapped me, and I was like, my head was like rung, and I was like, this motherfucker. So then I passed his guard, and then it was cake. I mean, you hear Galveo, you got like a legend like Andre Galveo, coaching against you. You know what I mean? And he's like, oh, you got to turn, you got whatever he's saying, and I'm like, it ain't gonna work. This ain't you, dude. This ain't you. And I ended up choking his face. And the second guy was a homie from 10th Planet, Portland, Sam Hardy. Yeah, good guy, really nice guy. He was at Shugyo with Phil Schwartz and those guys. Real cool guy. And I could feel like he was about to do some razzle dazzle on the feet. But what's crazy, if you've ever been in Combat Worlds, is this: the guys in the match, they get like nervous when Eddie starts yelling. Eddie goes, "Hey, it's I don't know, 5 seconds to get down rule." Well, I practice get down rule. I don't give a shit if I'm on top or bottom. William Tackett worked with me on using this body lock to get around the side. So I'm like, I don't care. Like, flip the coin, whatever. And they get nervous, though, and they start to shoot. Well, my defensive wrestling is solid. So when he shot, he got sprawled on, and I'm there all the time. I was going to either take his back and then Dars. Yeah, and that was pretty much it.
I was like, your little ass arms, Darcis guy. I did not expect that.
Yeah, I didn't either. So, and then the third match was Burbage or whatever. And he was heavy, man. He was like a
big guy,
75 or 80 or some shit. He looked like a skeleton walking in. I felt like I dominated the whole match. Was on top, passing and stuff like that. He's just real flexible. I couldn't get around his guard a lot of the time until I mounted, and I ended up making a mistake in overtime and got choked.
So I want to make a point on that. So I mean, with sub only, I got love for both sides. I like sub only. I like point side. But is it starting to become more to the fact to survive the regulation? Just now, these guys Krikorian, he released the DVD, EBIOT Mastery. Like there is literally like people are literally
shout out to Keith. I see him in the comment section right now.
Like strategizing.
It's like, oh man,
like strategizing to go from instead of going out to win the match in regulation, the rules precipitate you to allow to take it to overtime, where these guys are getting to be, like I said, instead of being leg lock specialists, they're being back control escape specialists, or you know what I mean? Like what do you guys think about that and the trending of all that?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna give Keith some love. Keith, whenever he started, I mean,
no, he's honestly great, by the way. No disrespect.
Yeah, no. When he started, he was milking it like that. Like he was milking it and shit like that, no doubt, right? Keith's a super solid grappler, man. I've grappled with him, and he stayed in my apartment for a week. He's my boy. The guy, he's beat me several times. The guy is good, man, and his overtime is excellent. And I think it's good. It's good to get good at jiu-jitsu that way. And if you ever hear Eddie explain it, it makes a whole lot more sense than hearing these other guys explain it. Eddie explains it real well. But yeah, you do see situations like that match I had with Kevin where the guy, he doesn't want to, like I was in the guard where there's a couple chances where he could have took a triangle, and it's hard to pass somebody's guard whenever they don't want to attack, you know what I mean? And so it does happen like that where guys will play the game and milk it like that, and I guess it really just boils down to it takes two people to it takes two to tango,
Yeah, for sure.
They can milk the game like that, but nobody's gonna remember your name if you're just being a little bitch and milking the game,
So I'm gonna answer that question, but I'm also gonna give Jordan a fucking shit ton of love because his 2019 was fucking amazing. He only lost like two guys, and he beat Marvin Costello on your stage. He would have definitely beaten Damian. That wouldn't even been fucking close. And then he went out there and smashed Frank and made a name for himself at Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds. And I'm going to say this to the detriment of my fucking business. Like, I manage Jordan. I don't fucking charge him. And I'm going to do that for the rest of his fucking life because Jordan's one of those guys that he's got that mentality where, like he's saying, he does not give a fuck. He's not one of those guys that goes on a combat jiu-jitsu world.
Pedro Mourinho for me. Pedro fucking Mourinho, almost 200 pounds on what was it, like 2 or 3 days notice?
Exactly, yeah. And he's one of those guys, he does not get starstruck. He's talking about Galvo in his corner. It's like, fuck Galvo. Nobody gives a shit. Jordan will hook his ass too. But going back to the overtime rules, I think combat jiu-jitsu is a big difference for it because we're seeing the evolution of combat jiu-jitsu now. In the beginning, people weren't really using those palm strikes. They were just slapping. Now people are landing serious ground and pound. So if somebody's going to try to stall for overtime at combat jiu-jitsu rules, you're going to punch them in the fucking face. Outside of that, in regular EBI, yeah, you see it. And as a coach, I teach my guys, it's like, look, we do a shit ton of combat or a lot of EBI overtime rules because if shit hits the fan, we're like 8 minutes into a match, we're not going to submit this guy, then fuck yeah, we're going to play the rules and we're going to go into overtime because I know my guys have a better overtime game. It sucks, but if you want to compete in that rule set, you agree to those rules. So I see all these guys bitching about EBI overtime rules and stuff like that. I know it's not what you're doing, but like if you sign up for the rules, then you agree to those rules. If I sign up for an ADCC rules match, I signed up for that. IBJJF, same shit.
Yeah,
my favorite thing to hear is when people bitch about the rules, but they missed the rules meeting and they didn't even bother to sign the rule sheet that we send out to them. Yeah. It's like, come on, man. Like our rules in the beginning, they were a little complicated, but now we've got them down to where, I mean, basically anybody can.
You guys are also in your first year of business, like, dude, my first event, I did overtime where people started in 50-50, like I did it for one event.
Man.
Like, there's fucking shitty overtime rules in general.
Yeah, for sure. I think on the fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say now. Damn it. Never mind. Don't worry about me. Oh yeah. On the overtime rules, like William and Cody talked to me about. They're like, it sucks, sometimes to play the overtime because you have to give the position, but like that no matter what, if you get to somebody's back, you're gonna finish them. You know what I mean? Or if you get to that shitty position, you'll always escape. You know what I mean? And like Josh says, if whatever you sign up for, you need to be ready to play the rules that you signed up for, whether that's IBJJF or whatever. I still think you should always go for submissions, like no doubt. But for sure, and that really just depends on like who do you want to be remembered as? You want to be remembered as the guy that goes for the sub that got the kills, like Craig Jones, or do you want to be the Mateus Denise who just eked out the ADCC? You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I guess I'll ask you guys a question. So what takes grappling to the next level. I mean, we see all these pro shows, like Seth's been grinding it out 4, 5, 6 years. You got Kasai that came in, made a big splash, and whatever's going on with them, I don't want to get too much into that, but you got those guys. You got Polaris that's doing great out there. They've been around for a long time. You got, we're still trying our best down here. You got Josh doing his thing. So what's the future? I mean, what are things going to look like after this? I mean, I think rule sets do play a big part in because I think a lot of people get caught up in just trying to please the practitioner or the person competing rather than the people that are in the audience that are going to be the people that don't even know what jiu-jitsu is. So I think if you're going to throw a live show, I think you need to make a live show with kind of how we do with in mind that you want to have a great spectator experience. People that don't train, they can still enjoy it. And then also have a rule set that induces a lot of finishes, but still has enough, not enough, where it's not too gimmicky to where people won't take it seriously. That's kind of like where we see it going in mainstream, because I mean, you can only, like some of these rule sets, like the fight to win, great. They give everybody a platform. They have, 2 or 3 like really great matches at the top of each card and all that. But I think just that sub only decision, I don't think that's the future of it. And I just want to kind of get y'all's opinion on all that stuff.
2 points before Josh goes off. 1, you got to get rid of the fucking gi. You got to get rid of the gi. The gi is boring. The guys that do not do jiu-jitsu don't give a shit about the gi. They can't even. You talk about a barrier to entry. They have no idea what's going on. He got that grip. Oh my god! He wrapped his lapel around his neck. That's so interesting. I don't understand. That's boring, and it produces a lot of stalling and slows the game down. And then number 2, you need to. Man, I keep forgetting where I'm going with this. Go ahead, Josh. Take it away. I forgot what I was talking about. I got off on a tangent with the gi.
Oliver, how about you say something? Because you've been quiet this entire time.
Oh, no, you guys are entertaining the hell out of me. This is amazing.
well, I want to respond to Jordan saying, fuck the gi. Look, we're making the gi great again, just like we're making grappling great again, just like we were doing all that shit earlier in this year when we pissed everybody off. The gi's fun, man. Our rules, I think, we have not had a gi match yet, other than there's been, let me think. I don't want to get into that, but there has been a couple of gi matches that made me want to go to sleep.
It takes 2 to tango. There could be exciting guys in the gi.
You got to make the right match. Like I'm not going to Tommy Langaker versus Edwin Najmi in the gi. That's not going to be boring. Like that's just not going to be boring. It's just it disagrees. I mean, if I go put let's see, Keenan Cornelius in there against I don't know.
Don't even fucking say that. I don't want to see.
But my point is the guys that you're marketing to are the people that don't train. That's who we got to get in the door. People that don't train, and so we need to open up as many submissions as we possibly can and make the barriers to entry for these people like low, so they don't and make it as savage as possible. That's why people like watching combat jiu-jitsu, because now you can get hit. So it's like, oh shit, that's way more exciting than not be hitting. You know what I mean? And
but for us to even be feasible down here, you have to be a full-fledged combat jiu-jitsu.
Oh no, I'm not saying do combat jiu-jitsu.
I'm just saying, like, our opinion. I've looked at it because I even grew to it. I was like in the beginning, like, what the fuck is this? Like,
same.
I love MMA, so it was like going to that. But to be able to do that as a grappling promotion, we have to get the state involved. We have to do all this other stuff just for one match.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying y'all should do combat jits.
Like drug tests, blood tests, all that, just so they can slap each other around.
Yeah, there's a lot of grapplers. Grapplers are lazy off the muscle, so like asking us to do all these blood tests and stuff, you're gonna have so many problems. And you're gonna find out who's
New York. Like New York is fucking falling apart with grappling because of that.
It's credible, yeah.
Like New York, yeah, for sure. I mean, I heard somebody. I forgot who that guy. That Kaplan, that guy. Yeah, he was talking about it. So somebody, because we were looking at doing an event in New York, but now we probably have to move to New Jersey. And so
that's tough. New York's the
Connecticut or New Jersey. Fuck that.
Yeah, because they said New York now. You got to go to the athletic commission for grappling for being a grappling promoter. Like, no thanks. I'm good.
You know, honestly,
a lot of work up there.
I don't know if grappling will ever get bigger than it is now. You know, like I hope it does, but we might be in the golden age of it with all these promotions going out. But I know, Ryan, you and I talked about this when we went on my podcast, but I don't know if we're going to be able to sustain the purses that are being paid to the top guys, you know?
Even us, yeah. I mean, even us to that point, like you're saying.
And honestly, like, I don't know if grappling will ever become mainstream. Look at all the other grappling arts. None of them are mainstream. What makes jiu-jitsu more exciting than judo or wrestling with all their stalling calls and their constant action. And that's the other thing, because we don't want to manipulate the rule set to the point where it's no longer applicable for MMA and no longer applicable for self-defense. And I'm not like one of those self-defense men.
No.
Like, if you look at IJF judo and Olympic style wrestling, there's constant stalling calls to keep the action going, and still nobody watches that. The wrestling almost got kicked out of the Olympics, Judo probably wouldn't have been far behind it. So as far as making jiu-jitsu a spectator sport, I think the only way we can grow it is with free content. And like, that's what I'm trying to do. I know you guys do a lot of free content too with your qualifiers. Pay-per-view's dead right now. We don't have enough to build a good pay-per-view. I'll give you guys the numbers right now that Substars pulled on pay-per-view. They did almost 3,000 buys. Okay,
you told me it was way more than that at first. I thought so. Adjusted.
No, you probably heard it from someone else. Like, I told you at the beginning, it was like 2,000 buys, and then after the time, it was almost 3,000. So, listen, the most that's ever been done is 5,000. That's the ceiling. Okay. If you can't do more than 5,000 buys, the only thing that can do pay-per-view right now is the UFC and boxing. You look at bare knuckle boxing, their event with Paulie and Artem, they did like 30,000 buys.
Yeah, for sure.
Bellator, 30,000 buys, their last pay-per-view. Pay-per-view only works for certain people. Free content is where it's at.
Well, the one thing I was saying, and I've been pitching this to Flow Grappling for a while, so if anything comes out without me being involved, I'm just gonna show you little bastards this video clip. But you look at ESPN with the UFC, so they put them behind a paywall. They say, okay, if you want to purchase our pay-per-view, you have to subscribe to ESPN Plus. Eventually, maybe it gets to the point to where we can have such premium matches, premium matchup, premium cards to where Flow Grappling will have their subscription fee. Maybe they lower it, and then they also have an a la carte pay-per-view on top of that, which will be more of a premium style, run up. And I've pitched that multiple times as a way.
Yeah, and if I was running Flow Grappling, I would definitely add the a la carte pay-per-view, just because they are a big enough company that it will be able to. God, I see my coach in the comment section being an idiot. And
I'm reading all these comments too.
Yeah, so I just saw him post. I'm like, oh, it's going to be fucking good. Bill, I love you. I'm not drunk enough to read that right now. But anyways, I think Flow Grappling is doing a lot of good. At first when Flow Grappling came out, it was very hard against them. There's a lot that they're doing well for the sport. If they added some free matches on their Facebook page, every once in a while, maybe a free event, and then add that a la carte option, I would have zero problem with Flow Grappling, And I think that's how you grow the market for all promoters, And I get they're a business and they need to worry about their bottom dollar, but I think free content on YouTube, on Facebook, on any social media platform is how all of media is going to start being consumed going forward. Not just grappling, but you see these streaming services like Netflix and Hulu coming up, cable going down, and you see YouTube coming out with their own content. Like, you remember when Karate or Cobra Kai came out?
YouTube TV.
Yeah, exactly. So I really think, because I don't have cable, I have Hulu Live, and the only reason I have that is to watch college football. Outside of that, it's streaming.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that too, because you said the issue about the spectator sport thing. I don't think that's true. I think if you get the right format, the right people, the right rule set, the right matches, it can be a spectator sport. When you said about wrestling and judo and stuff, not many people really try to take judo other than Fight to Win, what they do every now and then. Or wrestling. I mean, UWW does stuff, but it still has that collegiate feel to it. It doesn't have that big show. Like with Third Coast Grappling, Oliver, was there from day one, me literally walking the venue from day one saying, I want an arch here. Oh, hey, why don't we have him walk down this stairway? It's a lot easier and closer to the stage. No, I want to walk him through the audience with a spotlight on him as their music plays, as the smoke and the lasers go off. Like, stuff down to that is to build into the actual show. Jordan's been to almost every show we've done. And he'll tell you, and he's competed on a lot of the other stage. There's not an environment like ours out there. And I think that if we can get our show out there more to the masses, I think that that things will start to grow exponentially, because we're not going to be the promotion that's going to have the athletes selling the ticket that's going to be $40 and $50 to their aunt or their uncle, and then their aunt and uncle be pissed they went and never buy another one again. we're going to have that aunt and uncle that's going to be like, you know what, that was pretty cool. You know, we got some cheap drinks. We had a nice table. We got to have some fun. It wasn't too violent. You know, we're definitely going to go back to that. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but we had a good time. And that's kind of like the experience we want. And when we were trying to expand and, you know, bring in more investors and, you know, there's been all this talk lately, oh, Third Coast Grappling's poor. Third Coast Grappling is they're going out of business. It's not the coronavirus. They're doomsday. Where's the pitchforks? These guys they're put a fork in them. Come on, Oliver. How ridiculous was that?
We had many talks. It was insane. It was
like we will show you our bank accounts right now. Like put your money up. Like
let me see it.
If you really want, like what do you want to see?
Anybody but Jordan. We'll show anybody but Jordan.
I don't want to see your bank account.
Let me see the number.
So I got a question for you, Josh. You were talking about earlier about you know, potentially being in the golden age of jiu-jitsu, not, you know, seeing a huge future coming up for it. Do you think combat jiu-jitsu is really going to help that out, or do you think MMA is kind of taking the whole striking grappling aspect?
You know, Jordan, you can attest to how many people were there at your combat jiu-jitsu event. When I went to the combat jiu-jitsu, I think it was the 170ers, because my guy Werther was competing. There was like 300 people in the crowd. So going from the golden age of EBI, where they're selling out the Orpheum, or at least doing giant numbers at the Orpheum, to now, and I've seen a lot of EBIs. I've seen a lot of fight to wins. I went to Kasai over here. I haven't been to Third Coast yet. I was actually planning on flying out for that match Jordan had against Marvin, but shit fucking just happened.
That crowd was one you wanted to see.
That
was probably one of the biggest ones.
That was a good one for sure.
I think it was the biggest card I've ever seen.
And I'll say it here, like, next event you do, I'm going to come out and fly out, because dude, flights to Houston are like $120 from Tampa. So
really good thing.
You have to experience it. It's one of those things that, yeah, our stream quality is this and that. We're trying to, you know, we shoestring it ourselves. Everything has been done on our own. We're not out here, you know, just doing a bunch of hired guns saying, hey, book my matches for me. Hey, do this and that. I'm so obsessively involved with it that my partner, Zach, is like, Ryan, anything creative, anything content-wise, I refuse to work with you on it.
Yeah.
I'm just so meticulous and just...
You should see all the messages.
But to get back to your question, I don't think combat jiu-jitsu is the way. Like, people are pretty sick of combat jiu-jitsu. I think if EBI brought back full EBIs, people would be interested, but it's never going to be what it was in the beginning. Because even I went to EBI 11, and that was the 170 tournament, and I was cornering Craig Jones and a few other guys, and it was big, but it was not huge. You know, I've seen the previous EBIs and the previous Metamorphoses and stuff like that, where there were sellout crowds, and I'm sure there's some papering going on and stuff like that. But steadily, professional grappling is getting less and less crowds. Maybe not in Texas, but around the U.S. Yeah, I mean, I know you guys do really well, and that's something I talked about with a lot of promoters too, is like the fact that only certain companies are going to these new territories and building them up. Because I think to grow jiu-jitsu and grappling, that's kind of going to be after what we do. We have to go to different markets and build them up, because you can only go to New York, Texas, California, and Miami so many times a year with so many shows. And even then, Florida's the fucking shittiest market to be in. The UFC took like 11 years off.
Yeah, I mean, but you look at guys like Seth. Seth's out there. I mean, he basically established competitive grappling in each of these cities around the United States. But, I mean, eventually it's like, I know Seth's going to get tired of it. I mean, he can only run like that for so much longer, you know. And he even admits it. He gets bored. He's doing the subversive thing. He's doing, you know, so there's only so much. But his format, I think, is perfect. It's like it gives the everyman a chance on the stage to be up with the big guys, and it's scalable to where you can take it around. And he has it down to a science now to where to make money in jiu-jitsu, volume is the way to go, or – you know, I mean, that's basically it. Like either tour a whole bunch or have very little overhead and have sponsors and
I mean, you said the name Subversive, and I'll let Jordan speak to this a little bit too, but I kind of think Subversive with Fight to Win and kind of a blend of your style events as well is the way to go, because we were at the last Subversive where they did Red Bowie versus Team 10th Planet, and it was a packed, sold out show.
It was lit.
And listen, like I get the fact that Fight to Win packs their cards with local guys to sell tickets, but
we do the same thing.
Yeah, who doesn't?
And you guys do it too, but there needs to be that so we can build up the next generation as well. But I think the team versus team aspect is something I know you've thought about in the past as well too, is something that will really drive and get that nationalistic feel out of people to come to the events, you know? And
even Even if it wasn't like a super team, if it was fucking the Holy Grail versus 10th Planet, you know what I mean? Even if they were like blue belt level grapplers, purple belt level grapplers, you know what I mean? You're gonna get like bangers of matches that's it's exciting, man. I think team grappling is exciting, something we should definitely explore.
It's almost
you know
like that
what I mean?
organized sports approach, you know. I mean, it's the best way. You get people who, you know, I mean, have their home place, and I mean, we might miss out on a lot of Middle America, but you never know. You might have some phenoms come out of Middle America that you never heard of, and come on stage with a few guys and dominate.
Yeah,
and also when you're doing it too, like sometimes, like for sure, there's times to have like a Gracie Baja super team. You know what I mean, with like Hamila Bahal and all these guys, right? And that's great, right? But don't
Legends
put
matches and stuff.
but don't have a match like that versus like trying to think of a local team like San Antonio has Ohana. You're gonna do Ohana Academy versus Gracie Baja Worldwide. You know what I mean? They're gonna crush them, but like
and nobody cares.
Smart matching, yeah, exactly. Smart matchups.
But like also to get to what you're saying about the team thing, like everybody wants to do team jiu-jitsu like right now. It was started back in Brazil. Quintet did it. Your homies told me about tag team jiu-jitsu. You told me your Canadian buddies.
Oh yeah, Cat Clark, yeah.
But see, the way I was taking it with the West Coast thing is to bring Third Coast versus West Coast, like have Eddie Bravo rep it.
And what you guys did with England and stuff like that.
And with England, they were doing that. And then the East Coast, I'm telling you, Oliver will even tell you, we had Jersey locked down. We had Gordon Ryan versus Felipe Ryan 3 possibly going down in Gordon Ryan's backyard in October at one of the best music venues on the East Coast in New Jersey.
Yeah, that was
and the thing that held it up was the fucking rules. And then when all the water got muddied around that, the bullshit with Substars and the bullshit with the coronavirus and this and that and the card stuff and all the misunderstandings that happened around that. And right now, I don't really give a fuck. I'm just ready for this stuff to get over with so we can get back to work and we can all get back to throwing shows. We're all going to hate each other in one way cyclically until the end of time anyway. So whatever. I just want to get back to throwing good shows. I'm sure you guys want to get back to competing. And hopefully that's sooner than later.
Yeah. And you kind of say everybody hating it, but I think it sucks obviously it sucks for everybody right now, the Corona shit keeping us inside. But I think at least in the last few weeks, I've seen a lot more like of the promoters kind of coming together a little bit more. Like I've talked to Seth, I've talked to you, I talked to Missy, I talked to Hollis, and like everybody's kind of like, except for like Kasai right now, everybody's kind of like, oh, what's going on with Kasai? But like everybody's giving each other kind of props. They may not be best friends with each other, but there's gonna be like that begrudging respect. Like, okay, because of the Substar shit, like you're paying your fucking athletes, and that's all that matters. Like, what's going on over there? Like, I may not like it. Like, you may not like the way Fight to Win runs. They may not like the way you run, but everybody's got that respect where, okay, we're doing right by the athletes and we're still pushing this shit forward.
Yeah, I think it's because everybody has their problems open now. Everybody's like openly sharing the same problem,
And that's something that you're going to see more and more of is like us. Like, we have a lot of respect for Seth. Me and Seth, we go back and forth. It's a love-hate. 1 minute he's, hey, I'm your best buddy. Next minute we're tearing each other's heads off. But we always come back to a middle ground where it's like, hey, we're both man enough to be like, hey, this is a little stupid. Let's talk through it. And he's given me some great advice that's helped me avoid a lot of issues with a lot of people. So I've got to give him a lot of love. Yeah, he pisses me off. Yeah, he's done some things that I don't agree with, and I've done some things he doesn't agree with. So it is what it is. We're all human. I think we should all just support each other, throw good shows, and go down the fucking road.
So outside of like the promotional aspect, we've been talking a lot of business here. I kind of want to hear from you guys because there's one match I really want to see, but what matches do you guys want to see right now?
Gordon Ryan versus 30 internet haters at one time.
Wally replies to comments at the same time.
Jordan, your answer can't be you because
it was gonna be me.
I got that shit covered. Don't worry.
Man, honestly, I still want to see the tag at 3-man jam that was going to go on at Third Coast. I just want to see how that would work out. And I think it would have been a cool format to watch. I'm not being biased, maybe a little, but I still think it would have been good. Tack it, they're a hell of a family, and that would have been anybody coming out there to watch would have been good.
Is going to be the bee's knees when it happens. Yeah. When you have 10 blue belts fucking running down the pathway, jumping on each other's backs, strangling each other. That's where it's going to fucking be when we come back.
That's going to be good.
I want to see a match that should have happened. It didn't happen, but I want to see Wagner Hosha versus William Tackett. That match should have went down at Jizz Kings, and I believe in my boy, dude.
I had it, man. I had the match in my hand. They offered it to me, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to take Jits King's match like that because it was just like after Wagner's injured, this and that. I told you about it, Jordan, I think. Or I can't remember who it was, but I was like, I have the match. I can make it right now. William really wanted me to make it. And I was like, you know what, dude? I'm going to be a good guy. I'm not going to snake their match. I have no pride in taking somebody else's garbage or somebody else's leftovers. Like, I'm going to make my matches. I'm going to put them out there. And if you want to, I mean, whatever. I don't want to have anybody else's leftovers. So that's your match. You make the match. If it happens, it's on them. But yeah, you're
too nice of a guy. I would have been like, fuck you, get your ass over there.
Book it.
No backsies.
All right, so 2 matches I want to see, both with Jordan, and I love both these guys. Imanari, fucking looked up to him forever. So I want to see Jordan versus Imanari. And I also want to see Jordan versus Kallenstein and I love Kallenstein. I'm going to interview him tomorrow on the podcast. Kallenstein's my boy. I love him.
I tried to make that one
too, but like Kallenstein and Imanari, I think that's the way to go right now because he's beaten Frank. He's beaten a lot of really good guys. That's the match people want to see.
I want to see Jordan and Ethan Krellinston. Eventually,
that'll be a good matchup.
Those are 2 guys I love too.
Because you know what, like Jordan's like our Texas leg locker assassin. I know if I need somebody's ACL shredded, I say, "Hey, Jordan, let's go shred some ACLs." We put it down, and he goes and chokes them out with like he doesn't even shred their ACL.
I think that's a good matchup for Jordan. Like not just because he's my boy, but like you saw Kallenstein tap Ethan with that Aoki lock at my event, and Ethan's. He's an okay leg locker. He's more of a guard passer, back take guy. But Jordan, I think, can take that leg home.
Well, Kallenstein, like, I'm going to tell you something. I hope he doesn't get mad at me, but, like, I was trying to make that match, like, with Jordan and he big time Jordan. He's like, I want a meow brother, or I want this guy, or I want that or the other.
I'll talk to Kallenstein tomorrow on the podcast.
I'm not good enough. Apparently, I'm not good enough to get the good guys yet, but I'm also not good enough to face anybody that's shitty because I'm too good to face them because they're scared to get leg locked.
Hey,
listen, it's a weird zone to be in for me.
Right now, and it's going to sound like bullying because this guy's 120 pounds, but Damian rubs me the fucking wrong way. Like, I would have loved to see that match because I've seen him at a few events in Florida where he comes in looking like big shit and then throws a tantrum when he gets fucking submitted by Sam Hardy or not Sam Hardy.
No, Sam Farron.
Sam Farron, yes. You were at that event. You saw that.
I saw it. I saw that shit.
The guys were talking big. They were saying that Damian was going to come in and
Damian could fight. Damian could fight Noah Wyatt if he wants a match from my team. That's who he can fight.
I think Noah would take.
I think Noah would take his leg home.
Noah's a beast, man.
Yeah,
he's big, man. Every new picture I see of Noah, he's like,
hey, he's taller than me. I tried to buy him some protein. I told him, look, son, you got to do some protein and some push-ups.
Kyle. You guys want to hear my Kyle Terra story real quick?
Who is that?
Kyle Terra.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just kidding.
Kyle Terra from Jordan Jitsu's podcast. Anyways, when I offered Galvo $300,000 to win against Gordon, I got a message from Kyle Terra's manager. He's like, hey, we'll take that. And I was like, bro, Kyle Terra will never make $300,000 in grappling. You know,
no.
I would pay Mikey Musemi $300,000 over Kyle Terra just to prove a fucking point.
Mikey Musemi might actually, have a shot. So at it. So I have a funny story. Probably the craziest match we tried to make was Buchecha and Gordon, and I actually had the offer out there. Talked to not Buchecha, Hodger Gracie and Gordon, and we had legit. I have the screenshots. Like, we had it, man. But he's not fighting nobody. Like, the money was there, the backers were there, it was there. But Hodger's like, fuck you guys. Like, I've done everything I need to do. Like, I'm not going to get all worked up and go get in a training camp to come fight these guys. There's one every generation. I was mine for my generation. Why do I want to go fight me? Me of my generation.
And that's super wise. Like, I think there's a lot of mutual respect there. Like, if you saw the interview, Hodger just said that Gordon would basically demolish Galvo if that happens at ADCC 2021 or wherever the fuck it is. But Gordon always speaks very highly of Hodger. So I don't think that match, like, it's a good match, but I think they respect each other a little too much.
And honestly, I think when it comes down to it's not even about really respect. There's no money motivation there anymore for Hodger. Hodger's like, I don't care. I don't need the money. I don't need this. I don't need the clout. Like, why do I need to fight you? The match that does need to happen, though, is the Gordon and Felipe match. And I've been trying to make that happen for like a year, whether it was the Flow Grappling stuff that got me sued or was it whatever, this, that, and the other. Now we've got it. We got the purse done. We got the money agreed on. we got everything done, but just now the rules. Gordon saying no time limit, sub only, because Felipe agreed to
Didn't
something.
he agree to it? Yeah.
In a message to me, but he may have been. And my interpretation of it is he agreed to the match, to the time and the place, because my dealings with Felipe and his brother Tio Chico, they're very business oriented. They would have never agreed just off the cuff to like a rules match just like that in a WhatsApp message. It would have been a phone conversation. Contracts would have been exchanged. There would have been stuff specifically spelled out. So it wasn't ever like I don't think he intentionally came out and say, yeah, no time limit, sub only, just that knee jerk. Because I know Felipe that well, and he's real methodical with the way he thinks. So I think that'll happen one day. But
I don't know why the hell Gordon's going out right now trying to pick a fight with everybody. Like, he's coming off like that jaded ex-girlfriend that just wants some fucking attention.
Man,
yeah, he's got to stay relevant for a little bit.
I
he's
love
doing it, but it's a weird time.
I love the guy, man. We've had our issues, in public and private, but I know the kind of guy he is. He's a good guy.
Oh yeah, he's a good dude. I got no problems with him.
And you've known him way longer than me, so. But behind the internet, that's him. But I think he took it a little overboard with the COVID stuff, and and when we came out and we made our decision, it was just like high school bullies, that came out. Oh, you fucking pussies! Why are you gonna do this? Why are you gonna do that? And it's like, I just think that mentality wasn't. And no offense, Jordan, I know you're part of team Train Through Anything, but
train till we die.
Train till we
soap. I need the gear, baby.
But we took the stance that we did because we did have some people on our team that were advising us that were ahead of the game, like people that actually do this for a living. And so everything that we basically planned for, it happened, and it happened just as we had planned it. I mean, the March 14th event, we could have kept it the same as it was, flown everybody in, and it still wouldn't have happened.
No, I think as far as promoting an event, y'all are wise as hell for that, man. And y'all had a ton of foresight in that. You know what I mean? But as far as me flattening the curve, I'm only trying to flatten people out in side control right now, man. So they
100 pounds first.
You know what I mean? And in a small town Texas, dude, it's not as big a deal, So
yeah, in fucking Victoria, Texas. Like I've driven through that town. It takes like 10 minutes. Like,
what you should do is put a promotion on here in the community center, since Houston's not going to open up anytime soon. Whenever Victoria opens, you can hit the community center.
You'll be able to fill that place real quick, like a handful of people.
So I have some other stuff. So I guess I wanted to talk to you, Josh. So with the Substars thing, I want to hear.
Do me a favor. Ask Jordan a question first, because I'm going to make a drink, because I'm going all night with you guys. So
I got it. All right. So Jordan, I'm going to ask you a question. So we kind of were joking around about it on on the internet and this and that, and I've since even reached out to Mr. Victor Pozis to say, hey, bygones are bygones. We're grown men here. I want to see the match. Houston wants to see the match.
Man, the thing is, I wouldn't do the match simply because I'll fight. Here's the thing: I'll fight anybody. I'll fight anybody on the planet. You know me. I don't care who it is, right? It doesn't give me a lot of clout. You know what I mean, for that match. And then two, he's not in competition shape. He's not going to compete. He's a coach. He's not a competitor. You know what I mean? And he was a friend of mine. You know what I mean? I would have liked to continue to be a friend. You know what I mean? But I just it just doesn't really interest me that much. I would fight him if you told me, hey, I'm going to pay you $1,000, $2,000 to fight this dude. Fuck, I'm there. You know what I mean? No doubt.
Once or twice. And the thing is look, I think
anybody.
It is what it is. We all grow from it. We were all young.
Yeah.
This was just like barely 2 years ago when all this crazy shit happened, and so much has happened. Look where your career's at. Look where just look where everybody's at. We've kind of our rise has been kind of together.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I can see how people would want it. It's a good storyline. You know what I mean? But
I think.
Yeah, you know what I mean. If he was up for it and wanted to do it, So I would do. I have no animosity towards anybody, and I want to grapple everyone. Anyone that'll take the match, I want to grapple.
So I want to see like Josh was talking about the John Calstein match. Like I really do want to see that. I like John, but I think he had those issues. I don't know what happened. I don't know all the details. Like had some mental issue, or he left his gym where he was training. He won that.
He had injuries, and he had some
injuries to pull out.
Training issues. Yeah.
And it's so.
Yeah.
So people that are training or something. Is he back in top shape, or what's going on?
I don't communicate with them. Another thing on mentality is I never follow my competition. Anyone that's around my weight class, I will not follow you on Instagram. It's not because I don't like you. I'm not a fan. You're either a fan or you're a competitor. and I'm a competitor. So I don't follow people. I don't watch their highlight videos. I don't study tape, because if I'm studying tape about them, no one's going to upload a highlight video of them doing shitty, right? So
Right.
why would I watch a video of you banging hot chicks? You know what I mean? That's just going to make me think you're a badass. Why would I do that? Hell no. I'm going to watch videos of you either screwing up, or I'll just watch videos of me doing good, because that's going to be better for me, competition and mentality wise. So I don't know what's up with him or whatever, his surgery or whatever, but I hope he's doing well, and I'd love to fight him.
I'll ask him tomorrow how he's doing, but we'll see.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what to expect with what's coming up. I mean, it is now April 8th. Now all of a sudden it's, maybe maybe April 30th is too much. Maybe our models were a little bit too aggressive. Look at Josh flexing over there. Like, that guy's fucking ridiculous. But I don't know. I don't know when we're going to get back to business. But what I do know is that when we do get back to business, it's going to be good. It's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of lessons learned. And Josh, I talked to you a lot about this, about the sustainability of a grappling event. How do you balance? One of the topics I have is, how do you balance the excitement, keeping it exciting, keeping it relevant, and keeping it to where people know about it, want to tune in and want to watch, and still turn a profit? Because I don't think anybody out there has really put it all the way together. We made money our last couple of events, but it's still, it's still very heavily based on investments and sponsors, where we should be more based on what we're able to generate on our own without that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had this conversation before, and I've had it with other promoters. It's a very fine line, because you're talking about excitement. And if excitement was only what sold matches and sold the events, we wouldn't be having the fucking Andre Galvos and the old school guys that want $20,000 to show up, the Cyborgs and Lovatos of the world. Because, frankly, guys closing in on 40 are not usually that exciting. So if it was just the excitement, we'd be fucking paying $500 to every blue belt out there to go out there and put on a fucking crazy match. But people still want the names. I think you guys are doing a really good job. And like you said, your last few events have turned a profit. Alana's talking about Jack Jordan. Like, come on, bro, I'm right here.
Jack Jordan Holly, but like Alana's over there feeding this guy. Like, he's like,
hey, look, she's a badass baker. Look at this. She made this her first try.
Why don't you get her ass on here, the lady champ? Why don't you get her on here?
Alana, you want to be on this? Come here. They want the lady champ. They're calling for the champ. Hey, this is peanut butter with chocolate on it, dude. She's a badass baker.
Tell her.
I don't know how I'm staying
here.
Man,
I don't know how I'm staying around my weight, dude. No way.
But I mean, as far as like a profitable event that's going to continue growing, I think you guys are doing a good job. I think we need to combine what you guys are doing and fight to win. The champ is here.
Man, we were expecting the belt around your waist.
I know, I messed up there. I left
yeah,
up the gym.
let's mute her now. She didn't come with the belt. No, I'm just kidding. No, but go ahead, Josh.
Let's talk to Alana a little bit, since she's not going to be here long, and then we'll go back to what you asked me.
We can only ask her questions while she's taking bites, though.
Yeah.
So I want to know, like, how is it, like, you had a pretty serious injury to come back from that, keep strong mentally, and then come back and dominate the way you did, because you went through a bracket full of really, really tough purple belt women that I brought in from all over the country. So, I mean, and you made it look easy.
I mean, it was tough. I wanted to quit every day that I woke up, to be honest with you. I didn't want to do that tournament. I get really nervous. I start sweating and shit. I'm sweating now thinking about it, honestly. It's tough, but it helps having a good team of support, and Jordan here pushing me, telling me that I need to do my best and just stop being lazy. But yeah, there were some tough girls for sure. I know that I was the smallest one. And it helps to just stay focused. Honestly, that's all I can do.
Yeah, you did a great job. I mean, it was
and just trust your technique. That's really what it was. Cause I'm small. I can't just throw these girls around. I had to rely on everything that Jordan's taught me. So
you were scrappy. Like, you were stuck to those girls. Like, they could not, there was like hardly any space for them to move. Like, you were like, I don't know, like Jordan, I don't know. Y'all's game looked like almost somewhat.
Yeah, very similar.
Very similar in some ways.
Yeah, they made a comment in Jordan's match at Combat Jiu-Jitsu. We have very basic Jiu-Jitsu, which is a good thing. We just stick to the basics, pass, get to side control, mount, submit. And, when you stick to the basics, that's really what dominates the matches, because then you can go for the submissions instead of trying to go for all the fancy things and pull off moves that you never do in class. And that's where people mess up.
Big biceps help whenever you want to hold them inside
Hey,
control.
Oliver, you want to do belly flex? Let's just show them our bellies. You ready? I'm just kidding.
Like Wonder Twins? I don't think so, Ryan.
I'm going to sound like a complete show right now, but Alana is probably one of the most like promising up and comers right now, just because she obviously she's talking about the basics and stuff like that, but she understands the new school game. I'm going to get a lot of shit about this, but I think women's jiu-jitsu is like 3 to 4 years behind men's jiu-jitsu right now. And a lot of women competitors say that as well, but she understands the intricacies of the EBI overtimes, the entry to the leg entanglements, passing to the back, and chaining your passing, the back takes, and the leg locks all together. So if she keeps doing what she's doing, like in the next year, she's going to be taking out some of the top girls, just because she understands, like Jordan, how to break somebody's fucking leg in half and how to choke somebody under the eyes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of it too with my jiu-jitsu, I feel like I've kind of gone backwards because, I met Jordan and I wanted to do leg locks and do all these fancy things that I kind of neglected the basics. So here recently, I've just been doing more of that. And then that's whenever all of the more advanced techniques go into play, because if you don't understand the basics, you're not going to know what to do whenever you're on stage. You have to have a foundation of where to start whenever you're in a competitive setting.
Yeah, 100% agree. And that's what I say to all my students too. It's like, yeah, you want to do the fancy rubber guard and leg locks and all the barambolos and shit like that. But the only way you can do that is if you have the ability to get on top, grind somebody out, get to the back, pass the guard, and fuck them up.
Yeah, and I mean, it helps too, training with all the guys. Like, we do a lot of positionals at our gym, and they don't take it easy on me. So if my jiu-jitsu isn't solid, I'm going to get thrown across the mat.
I've seen Jordan roll with you.
Oh, it's terrible.
My wife, and I was like, if I ever roll with you in the way that Jordan does, she's going to beat the fuck out of me and divorce me.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty tense whenever we get home. It's, but, as you saw at Third Coast, it
Ryan,
pays.
you muted yourself.
You're muted, Ryan.
Oh. As you saw at Third Coast, the way that Jordan and the guys roll with me, it pays off for sure. And that's the thing too, being a woman in this sport is really hard because it's like, you have to be tough, unfortunately, and we're really sensitive, or at least I am. I'm pretty sensitive. So it's like, you just have to kind of put that aside and deal with it.
Yeah.
So I got a question though. So I've seen a lot with a lot of sub only, and not just sub only athletes, but with nogi in general. Once you get past most people's guard, it's game over. Like you see these guys that they play the single leg X, they play their leg attack game, but as soon as that guard's passed, that's all she wrote. Like is that just a matter of just focusing so much on trying to get good at one thing rather than having a good base of fundamentals? Or what do you guys think is a culprit there? Because I mean, you'll see in gi matches, or you'll see in maybe stuff that's not just sub only. I mean, guard recoveries there. I mean, these guys are getting past, and it's game over after that. I mean, so what do you think is kind of where's that coming from?
I think that a lot of the sub only, everyone wants to get fancy techniques and entries from the bottom, but when you're on top, you have all of the mobility, you have a lot of the pressure, and you have the ability to break down the person's guard on the bottom. And that person can't recover once their guard's passed. They don't have anything else to do. So The objective when you're on bottom really should be to get on top instead of trying to submit if you aren't comfortable doing that. And so I think that's where it kind of falls apart from there. Once they pass the guard, they get to side control, they mount, and then they got to replace and start all over again.
That makes sense. What do you think, Josh?
Honestly, I don't remember the question.
It wasn't. I was trying to bring some stuff back in, but I was trying to talk, and like half the time I couldn't even.
I know you muted yourself. All I heard was like, when the guards passed, everybody's fucked.
Tell Alana thank you for.
They said thanks a lot for helping.
Baylon is the best.
Baylon is the best. Isn't it?
Listen, if it's not a point setting, passing the guard means nothing. I constantly, and I'm sure Jordan does too, but like, I'm a big fan of training out of bad positions. So I'm constantly starting myself in what we call Burt Reynolds guard, where I'm literally laying on my side and just doing like that. And I roll with Jordan, I roll with a bunch of guys, and they're just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, fucking grapple me. I'm like, no, dude, this is what I do. I just fucking lay here, and before you know it, something happens. I'm either getting tapped or you're getting tapped. And look, it may not be the best, but getting out of bad positions and being dangerous in all positions is something that's really lacking in the old school game, and the guys that are kind of going out. And kind of these new school guys. Like, you guys remember it happened to Texas at the Honor Invitational. Remember when Gordon fucking laid down and let James Partridge mount him, and then Kipping mount escape to a heel hook? Like, that is technique in sub only, you know?
Dude, when he came and did a seminar, and I went to, it was my first time ever like doing a seminar with him, and he did a full seminar on nothing but Kipping escapes. That's it.
When was that?
Like when he was down here, like it took about 2 months ago.
So listen, there's this guy at Henzo's. His name is Shah Ghaffari or whatever. On Facebook, he's Shy Aces. Okay, he did
his uncle or
they call him Uncle Shaw.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys that when Danaher talks about these 9-to-5ers that fuck up world champions, that's Shaw. Okay. Yeah. And he came to my third event. He was in the heavyweight tournament. He literally laid down on the mat for 2 matches. Guys mounted him, Kipping mount escape right to a heel hook. He made it all the way to the semifinals with just that technique because it works and it takes a specialist or at least someone who trains that position a lot. But I'm telling you, shout out to Shaw because his Kimuras and his outside heel hooks, I've seen him destroy some motherfuckers. He's got a win over Tex Johnson by heel hook.
But yeah, man, it was just so funny, like looking around, seeing everybody doing like the Kipping movements. Like you just look like a dolphin out of water, like. I don't know. It was effective though, man. Just straight into heel hooks.
So, what was your question you asked me before Alana came on? Because I totally forgot.
You remember that?
You have your notes. You know,
I do.
This is not my podcast. I don't take notes.
I don't know, man.
Ryan stopped taking notes a long time ago.
All right, so let's see. We were talking about, I guess, kind of like the future of grappling promotions. How do you make it sustainable? Because it's like the flex lately is like, oh, I've been around for 5 years, or oh, I have this. My events are covered before the doors even open, or. But at the end of the day, man, like, look, not everybody has millions of dollars. Not everybody started, an event 4 or 5 years ago. Like, congratulations, you worked harder than us. Like, we just wanted to get our name out there, put our shows on, and we wanted to make some noise doing it. Yeah, did it come off financially irresponsible to some? Yeah, of course. Oliver's been involved with our finances from day one, but he knows also how we do things, and we're not.
I'm partially irresponsible.
He's partially irresponsible for all of it, but no, I mean, I think it's just different mindsets. Like Hywell Teague from Flow Grappling said it best. He's like, I don't think.
Quick question: where's that Red Belt documentary?
I knew you were gonna fucking do that.
Yeah,
I knew you were gonna fucking do that. But no, shout out to those guys, man. He's a good guy. All that stuff was before my time. So
yeah, no, he's always been nice to me.
But no, he said, he put it to me like this. He's like, there's no better event. He goes, there's different flavors. He's like, it's like potato chips. Like some people, prefer like ranch, some prefer, barbecue chips. He goes, nobody's better than the other. Everybody it's all based on what you prefer. And I took that and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that's good. I'm going to stop competing with these guys because it's just such different formats, different types, different motives. Some are financially motivated. Some are just out there trying to spread the sport motivated. It's just at the end of it, just stop comparing, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's all the same, whether you're competing, you're throwing an event and all that stuff like that. You can't be worried about the competition. You have to be worried about what you're doing, and as a competitor, it's like, you don't look like Jordan said, you don't look at the guy's highlight reel, right? You worry about what you're doing to get better every day. And I don't want to say the guys that aren't financially motivated aren't going to make it in the long run, but you need to have the love for the promotion and the sport to continue going. And I'll be the first to say, like, as a promoter, I lost that for a while. I took a year off promoting because I was so fed up. There was a time period between like 2017 and 2018 where I had events and day before I'd have like 6 people pull out, and it was just like ridiculous. And I know you guys still have it too, but when you're doing a 16-man tournament and 6 guys pull out, it's fucking something different, I remember drinking myself to sleep in Kentucky and fucking Memphis. Like I did some fucking crazy ass shit just dealing with this kind of stuff. But you need to have that love to push you. And speaking of Missy today, I did a podcast with her. You also need to have those financial people involved too to keep the visionaries in check, and I know it's something you have. I know it's something Seth has. Well, I don't know too much about Kasai and stuff like that.
But I mean, Rich used to fucking run the Deutsche Bank, one of the largest banks ever in the history of fucking banks. So the guy knows what he's doing. He's got money.
And you need that. You need to have that balance aspect of it, just like everything else. You need to be able to have you at the helm as the visionary, but you need the guys in the back who are pulling you back, because it's always a battle between going too far forward and staying within your means. You know,
Like,
if you're not,
man, like Oliver, Zach, they really do well on our financial side in our team. And then Lisa, she's kind of my right hand, my fighter relations. She does a lot of that type of stuff. But when it comes to like the finances and stuff like that, I piss them off so bad because I go over budget all the time. And my thing is like, and I'm like, well, come on, guys, like it's just that. But I'm getting to realize that it gets to the point of diminishing returns. Like you can only have so many great matches on a card before it's like, okay, like you can't get any more money from selling out your show. You're not going to get any more money from Flow Grappling, and you're not going to get any more money from any more sponsors. So what's the point of having 20 super fights that could be all main event worthy if you can just spread them across? And
Third Coast 2 could have been like 5 events right there. It could have been just, you could have spread those cards out and you could have 5 events.
That was a big card.
And
you could have had a year worth of fucking events.
And like Jordan knows, our first that second show, the one that with where you fought Castell, that was kind of like our all-in push. That was our marketing push. There was like, we had a big sponsor that wanted to be aggressive. And we said, you know what, we're going to get the best names. We're going to put our balls on the line. I was very confident after seeing Scout Bar. You were there for our first show, Jordan. Like you saw how fucking.
It was live. It was so lit.
Like, they've never sold that venue out as bad as it was for that.
It was y'all didn't expect it to be sold out that bad because it was freezing and we were in the back out on a patio warming up on mats in a hoodie and I'm freezing, man, dude. And everybody was packed in there, like you couldn't even move through the crowd to get to the
dude,
stage.
Just to get people around. It was
that was wild.
I knew we had something from that moment on. It wasn't like oh cool, man, like what a great match. And that it was like the vibe, the people involved, the format, the attitude, the hip hop music, the smoke, the no kids. It was just
that's key. That's key because you get some of these events, especially around. I'm not marking anybody out, but around Houston and stuff, and they go till 2 a.m. and you have kids running around, and you have 50 matches, and like my guys will be blue belts, and they won't go till midnight, 1 a.m. and
nobody wants that.
No one is. Yeah, no one's waiting around for that, dude. And the thing is, that's great, man. Everybody needs a chance, you know what I mean? But here's the thing, dude. If you're a blue belt, in my opinion, you need to be doing locals, okay? After you're good enough to do locals, hell, get your purple belt. Be good enough to get a purple belt, and then maybe you can think about a super fight. Be an outstanding purple belt before you decide, hey, I'm going to be a super fighter. You know what I mean? Because you could go to a local and get 3 to 4 times the experience that you could have got on a super fight card against another bum? If there's 2 of you fighting and neither of y'all are super, then it's not a super fight. It's just a fucking regular match.
Jordan, I hope Baca is listening to this right now because I'm gonna give one of my favorite applications I got for Third Coast Grappling so far was from Baca. This was probably almost
oh my god,
like almost 2 years ago.
I can only imagine.
He goes, "Yeah, I'm a master, but I only do adult divisions. I don't got time to fuck around." That's what he said.
Amazing.
And I was like, I'm definitely booking this guy. And then he goes, "Oh, books my boy." And I was like, "Hey, all right, Baca, welcome to the family."
Nah, he's legit, man. He's he's one of my 2 brown belts, and he's fucking good. He's really good. I give him a lot of shit, but he's really good.
Yeah, I just love your team, man. I mean, it was a lot of them. McKenzie, it's your old team.
Jordan's team together. Holy shit! Like, and you know it firsthand. Like, Jordan's got guys coming up that are fucking insane. I don't know how, as a coach, like it's very difficult to compete and still coach as well as you can and spend your time on your athletes and stuff like that. And what Jordan does with getting Baca, McKenzie, fucking Alana, Wyatt, and all those fucking guys together and getting them on these big stages and getting them ready, it's really fucking impressive.
Yeah, we're at a town of less than 100,000 people. And I don't pack the class is no more than 15, 16 people max. And mainly it's about 10 to 12. But I had to, on that note, what I had to do was find ways to not only train them, but not fall into the coach's trap. And the coach's trap is where you rest on your laurels, if you even have any, which most of these guys, they've never done anything anyway. So they don't have any laurels to rest on. But everyone around them thinks that they're like a myth. You know what I mean? Like if you talk to anybody trains under anybody, they think their coach, hung the stars and fucking could beat Hodger. You know what I mean? Even though that's not the case. They may have won an IBJJF medal by disqualification. You know what I mean? So you can't just teach 45 minutes of technique and do 20 minutes of warm-ups. What you need to do is tell your guys, hey, y'all need to be warmed up whenever you get here. When we go in, I'm going to teach you 15, 20 minutes of technique, maybe, because it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall. They're not going to remember it. If you remember, you came up with a student and you learned 2 hours of technique the week before. You don't remember none of that shit. I asked my guys one week, I said, what did I teach last week? Show me 3 techniques I showed last week with details. Nobody could show me shit. And I was like, we're doing too much technique. And I was like, all right, so we do a little technique, we cover questions, and then immediately we do positionals, EBI rounds, and hard rolls. And you pick it, and I always tell them, you pick the best dude in the room. When I turn around, everyone should be lined up to fight me. And I was like, and then it should be Baca, and then it should be, it should be the biggest guys, the toughest guys that we have in there, Blake. It should be
Shout out to Gainer and Omar.
Omar. Yeah, it should be Omar. There you go. You need to be fighting those guys, because I watched a Marcelo video one time where he said Marcelo does it when Marcelo's tired. He fights the best guy in the room. He looks for Mateus Denise, for Gianni Grippo. When he's tired, he doesn't pick the rest roll. And that's the thing is, it's gonna be like, all right, man, it sucks because like, hey, I could get tapped, man, and then my ego, you know what I mean? But fuck your ego. Who gives a shit, dude? If you'll be dog ass tired and go, excuse me, go with the best guy you got, then I guarantee you, when you're dog ass tired in the competition match, it's gonna be nothing for you, man. So it's really a mental shift, because you're the coach, and the coach, you should be above reproach. You know what I mean? Or you get that air about you. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's a fucking weird thing. You gotta kill the ego every day.
And speaking to that ego aspect, Ryan, you probably see it as a promoter. All these guys coming up saying their next big thing. If you look in the comment section, Jordan Peens was talking about how Jordan convinced his guys and most of his team to fucking drive to Iowa to compete. Well,
no, because Jordan has a Colt. He doesn't have a jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it does have a Colt.
Like Colt down there.
Ryan, when you're promoting, and I'll speak to this later, how much does it impact you seeing these guys go out and really grind, and how much of that plays into getting them on your show, which is the big show? I tell my guys, like, you need, like Jordan's saying, you have to fucking eat shit before you get on the big show. So how much of that do you look at?
I look at it a lot. Like, a lot of the guys that come on our show they've come through the qualifiers events, or they've made a name around. But like, I'll give Noah White as an example. He's been applying ever since the first event. And I'll tell Jordan, I don't know. I don't think so yet. I don't think so yet. And then the kid's going out there and he's starting to just eat everybody alive. And that's just what I see. I just see him out there grinding. I see him doing the submission hunters. I see him out there doing these Nagas or whatever other tournament Jordan has him doing that weekend.
I hosted that invitational in my gym.
Yeah, at the invitational there. I mean, whatever.
Hot as fuck.
So Noah's a beast, man. And that match with Savion, I think there was a good chance he might surprise a lot of people. Savion's a beast, but
if we book it again, I mean, Pans isn't around the corner. He needs to be heel hooks, man.
Hey,
let's see why we wouldn't do heel hooks.
I mean, cut me off if I'm going a little too far, but can we talk about the fucking like parents of jiu-jitsu stars?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Hey, look, I'm going to preface this. I do run a kids promotion, so shout out to all the families. I love you guys.
Everyone's wonderful.
But I'm telling you right now, some of y'all need to
chill out,
to chill on the split personality shit. Yeah. You're not, Armor All, Beast Mode Jenkins or whatever. That's your son's Instagram. Like, if you're gonna live vicariously through your kids, like chill out a little bit. Let them know how to run a Facebook first.
Man, right. Some of those Third Coast Grappling messengers are like from ex-girlfriends, man. It's just back, waiting for you to reply. It's been like 8 minutes.
I did one of those, and like a week later, one of the parents got on to reply to one of the other parents. I was like, here we fucking go again. And like, I've seen this for a long ass time, because like, and I'm gonna name someone out right now, fucking Nick Devoku, and I fucking love him. Savannah's dad coming up. I remember it was like Zapatero 4 or something. They were supposed to do that teen girl EBI, and the commission squashed it like 2 weeks before. And I pulled all those fighters, and I did it in Florida. And that was the craziest thing in the world, because we had Jessica Khan, we had Jasmine Johnson, we had Savannah, we had like all these big up and coming girls at the time, and dealing with their parents was one of the hardest things in the world, because you're talking about it. Yeah. Don't live through your kids' fucking accomplishments. Like, what the fuck is going on?
I'll tell you what the magic juice for me is y'all know who Mona Bailey is, right? Yeah, her dad, John, has become a pretty good friend of us, and he works for us now. He does all the kid matchmaking for me. He does all the interfacing with the parents for me. He handles what I basically do is I say, hey, I want this many matches. Please keep the ratio to this many locals or this, that, or the other. And then we'd have a spreadsheet, and he starts matchmaking. And then, people come out to me and hit me up like like Tiffany Butler, you're training, you're like, or whoever will like the Brazilian Fight Factory people, like Caleb, Tiffany, they all know I've got spots for them. But it's yeah, man, I don't know. It's weird having a lot of different things like that at play when you're trying to build the cards.
And then you got Big Gord out there showing you how to do it.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it's dude. What gets me is how many people. Because I've talked to you about this, Josh. I had the same kind of feeling when I went to a promotion. Like I went to an event, I was like, man, I could fucking do that. and then here we are. Here we are. 7 events later. Like that's how it happens, right? Like you go out and you see something and you think, okay, I could fucking do that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, I say it all the time, like Zach and JM from the Finishers, their first event, I watched that and I watched the Nuwaza Challenge and I was like, I can fucking do that shit. And I think my event was already in the worst when I watched Nuwaza Challenge, but like, I think the problem right now, and it kills me on the inside because I'm a hardcore, like, no government involved in anything kind of guy, but the barrier to entry to promoting is next to nothing. You know, I started promoting 5 years ago when I was 20 years old. I'm 25 right now. I know I look fucking 40, but I'm 25. I started promoting at 20 years old. I couldn't even fucking drink. My first event was in a middle school for like $2,000, and we paid everybody. We had Gary Tonin in for an event as well, or for a seminar as well, and paid him a bunch of money. But a 20-year-old should not be able to get into the promotion of jiu-jitsu business.
No, dude.
Like, what other sport can you literally walk in and message someone, be like, hey, bro, I'll pay you X amount to come down and compete. No contracts, no money in the bank, no fucking, what is it? One of those accounts.
Escrow accounts.
Escrow accounts, yeah.
And dude, that's all bullshit, too. Let me say something real quick on that.
Yeah.
It's a fucking escrow account for a fucking grappling show. Like, look, you know what you're getting into as an athlete. We're going to sign a contract. We're going to do that. But who the fuck do you think you're dealing with? Like, who do you think has time and money to put money in an escrow account? Like, we're struggling to break even here. Like, you want me to jump through all these hoops to make sure you get paid? Like, if we've always paid you, like, I'm not putting shit anywhere. Like, you either compete for us or you don't.
Yeah, and listen, look, if I'm managing someone, because I see this from all perspectives, as I'm sure you do as well. If I'm managing someone and a new promotion comes up offering crazy amounts of money, I'll be like, hey, look, we either want half of that up front or we want an escrow account for one match, not the entire event. Like if I'm managing Jordan, Combs, Dante, all these guys who are going to pull in big money, and you haven't proven yourself, there's a point for that.
Well, Substars is the prime example for that because everybody fucking saw it. I was talking to you months before.
We were talking about that for fucking months and months. And listen, I've had a few drinks right now, so I'll spill fucking whatever you want to add.
But I'm going to say this. That was like what we wanted to do. That was our pay-per-view idea. That when I talked to you and I talked to Sib about it,
I know.
Was like, we're going to go fucking big. We're going to do this. We're going to go pay-per-view. But I guarantee you this, and I'm not going to shit talk anybody because everybody gets so mad at me because I kicked somebody in the nuts for not paying the fighters. But if we would have did that, if that was our pay-per-view, we would have fucking broke the pay-per-view record and we would have done it the right way.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, and the problem with Substars is a lack of preparedness. They were, like you and I were talking about, they started promoting the event like 3 weeks before it started, and they only used Instagram. If you go back and look at their fucking profile now, even with all the bullshit that come out, it had less than 1,000 followers on Facebook, and they're at like 10,000 on Instagram.
Look at how many Indian people follow them. How many Indians they purchased.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know you don't want to get into like the fake news bullshit, but that site,
let's talk.
That site, I don't even know what they're called, with 35,000 followers with 22 likes on every fucking post.
Oh, like, Bullshit Insider. My bad. That's what it's called.
Yes, exactly. Those guys. But the point being, I'm not going to ask for Jordan sitting here like texting everybody like shit's about to get real. But I'm not gonna read
like Bible scripture or something. He's like,
no
heretic.
No, I'm not gonna read nothing on here.
But I mean the point is the barrier to entry for 90% of the businesses in jiu-jitsu is super low. Running a gym, fucking starting an event, starting a new site. Bro, I started a podcast less than fucking 30 days ago, and somehow I'm fucking pulling in all these big names, and like everybody wants to fucking come on. Like, I started a management company less than a year ago. I started a fucking promotion 5 years ago when I was 20 years old. There's a problem when a 22 or a 20-year-old can start a fucking grappling promotion, and a guy like me can start managing competitors and fucking fight.
Fucking blue belt, who's only known anything was about music. I didn't even want a gold medal anywhere. Like, I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna give this a try. I can do that. I mean, the first event, it was great, and then we went on from there. But I think that the barrier is also it's gonna close because eventually it's gonna get to the point to where it's like, all right, guys, like you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Just leave it to the pros for a little bit.
And I mean, I don't want to be like one of those victim shaming assholes the liberals are going to call me. But look, if you're a fighter and somebody offers you an obscene amount of money to compete,
they're going to take it. And
they're not a Chechen warlord, the guy's in Abu Dhabi or something like that. It's too good to be fucking true. Like, if Jordan gets offered $10,000 for a fucking match, like, I fucking love Jordan, but listen, dude, you're not worth 10 grand a match.
I know.
Like, and you know that. John Calistine. I fucking love Calistine.
But if they try to pay Jordan that money and they don't pay it to him, he's probably going to drive by their house or go cut it up or something.
Yeah, that's true. And
I'm going to hit him with my car. That's what I'm going to do.
Seth came out with a quote when all this Metamore shit was going down because he started events back then. He's like, yeah, you're saying they're going to pay you that much, but guess what? My checks never fucking bounce. Like, you can go out there and accept the offer for X amount and have worry about whether it's going to clear or not, or you could take my money and know it's going to be fucking there. And that's what you guys are building right now through whether it's a pitfall, you lose. Like, dude, my first 10 events lost money. And as a promoter, you have to be willing to go through that to establish credibility and be able to make these next events when you're 5 years into the event, when you're 10 years into running your show.
Bro, the thing that pissed me off the most about the fake news thing is I'm like $300,000 in fighter pay our first year, 7 events. This shit's fucking everybody's canceling. South by Southwest and you guys are gonna come at us like it. I know what it was. I know who it was, and I know why it was, and it is what it is. It's over and done with. But we're still here. We're still gonna throw badass events. I'm still gonna say shit that's gonna piss people off. I'm still gonna fuck up. But what it comes down to it is, when there's no like handbook. When I started this game, it's mainly me day to day. Like, I'm sitting over here getting messages from like Wagner Hochschild, like, oh, what do you mean I have to pay this out for my hotel? I thought I had my own room. I didn't want a roommate. Gaudio doesn't even train here. And I'm like, okay, cool. We'll give you our $100 rebate like we do, and you can go pay for your other night. And he loses his shit, and he gets Mo involved, and then Mo gets all fucking mad, and then just set stuff up. And I'm like, dude, like, you're getting mad at policies that have been in place since 3CG2 in terms of our travel policy. We've always paid our athletes. We've always done. I paid Nicholas Miragali $18,000 in cash to prove a fucking point because he was just so worried and this and that. And so when I fucking threw $18,000 in his face, I mean, like, what else do you want from me? Like, I mean, I've done everything I said I'm going to do as a promoter. I said I was going to change the fucking game. We were going to pay our fucking athletes. We're going to throw crazy shows. We've done it all. What else do you want? Get off my ass.
Oliver's sitting here real quiet, and we're going to keep it that way.
Leave his box up there in the corner.
I'm letting Ryan do a thing.
One of the top 10 145 pounders in the planet right now sitting next to us. Honestly, like, I'm going to get Jordan's opinion on this in a second, but as an athlete and as a promoter, I do not give a shit if the promoter is outgoing and talks a lot of shit. Look at Dana White. Look at Bob Arum. Like Vince McMahon. You need – best promoters always have a lot of charisma and shit talking in there.
You're selling a product. Like any salesman, you have to have charisma. You have to know your product, and you have to be passionate about it to get other people to buy into it.
100%. And Jordan, as a competitor, does it piss you off or rub you the wrong way when a promoter acts like Ryan or Seth or Dana White or Bob Arum?
No, not at all, man. Because here's the thing. Nobody wants to hear, hey, I'm going to go out there and do my best and respect the shit out of my opponent. Nobody gives a shit about that. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to watch that. And in the same way, nobody wants to hear, hey, guys, we're going to go out. We're going to try our hardest. We're going to throw a good show, man, and just real respectful and Pohada and Oath and all that crap. Nah, man. They want to see some drama.
Fun.
Yeah, they want to see drama, and that's what sells fights. That's why WWE is good. WWE is fake, and people watch that like crazy. And mainly just because it's like a male sitcom. You know what I mean?
The drama is what it is. Like, and like I posted a clip that Dana White said about basically you got to have a storyline, you got to have conflict, you've got to have a lot of things to make a great fight, to sell a great fight. Because you know what? No, you were talking, Josh. You were talking about how you need the big names for this, that, and the other. The big names on our cards aren't for the Houston community. I can sell out Warehouse Live with just Houston community grapplers, with just my grapplers, with just my Texas Third Coast grapplers. The big names that come in, that's for Flow Grappling. That's for them. That's for their viewership, because that's people. A lot of people, you can go and walk around our shows and be like, hey, man, that's Gordon Ryan. They're going to be like, who? Like, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of these guys don't follow it. Like, a lot of people get caught up kind of like thinking that, you know, the fans of our sport follow it as closely as we do, and that they know the same people we do. But in reality, it's still really niche. And
I made a point one time. I said, man, if you open a jiu-jitsu school, it doesn't, because some people like in my town, they opened town like Gracie's and this and that, right? And they're paying absorbent amounts to these affiliations, right? Soul Fighters, whatever, right? And like I told them, I'm like, I would make more. I would get more students off the street, the layman that have never seen jiu-jitsu, if I name it Chuck Norris Jiu-Jitsu than if I name it Gordon Ryan Jiu-Jitsu. You know what I mean? Because no one knows who that is. I mean, if you're in jiu-jitsu and you know it, okay, great. It's going to be out on the mat anyway. But as far as like name recognition, like the regular guys off the street, the spectators that you're trying to pull, like you say, you could sell out with Christian Guzman Jiu-Jitsu, guys that are Houston. You know what I mean? You could sell it with anybody from Houston. You know, probably going to get more people because they live there.
And the thing is, like with the Houston community, is I think it's been developed. You know, Eric Garcia, he's done a lot to build up with Submission Hunter Pro. And, you know, he's, you know, and kind of build the local scene up to where these local guys really had an opportunity to where promoters like me can come in. And, you know, he did most of the groundwork with building some of these guys' names up. But I realized it was his show that I went to where I was like, you know what, I can do this. And I wanted to put my own spin on it. I wanted to do something different. I didn't want a bunch of draws. And I wanted the rule set to be tweaked to make it more spectator friendly. And that's what we did.
Yeah,
I respect to them.
Yeah, and I got to shout out to Eric too, man. I'm 8 or 7-0 in Sub Hunter, all heel hooks, and I'm 3 times a champion, never been defeated, and no one will take a match with me at black belt, and so I haven't got a match on that one yet. But I hold this belt for purple brown, and Eric gave me a start. You know what I mean? As a shitty purple that definitely didn't deserve a spot, I got a match on there, and I heel hooked the guy, and then I heel hooked another, and shit, I ended up. That's how I got my first like really good match.
That's how I heard about you, you know, like when, you know, that's when I first heard about you was through there. So like when Victor helped us with our first card. But, you know, with that though, I mean, the building of the Houston scene is also the tournaments as well. You've got the regular tournament, you got the Albert Hebrons, you got these, you got the G-Fats, you got these guys that, I mean, I'm not a big fan. Those tournaments never run on time, but they've been established. And, you know, I can already see your face, Jordan. Go ahead.
No. Here's 2 things about that. One, you for sure, like, here's the thing that absolutely has to exist because all the guys that are coming up, the white belts, the blue belts, your hobbyists, even purples, they've got to compete somewhere and they've got to get experience. That shit in the gym is just not enough. They need all that. And then 2, I think we should really, as a community, come together and just decide on a few events that we like, and everyone should go to those. And they don't have to be IBJJF. They could be, you know, in my opinion, AGF, Grappling Industries. Those are the ones that you should be hitting up.
I like Grappling Industries a lot.
I like Grappling Industries. I like AGF. I like all those guys. They run events well. They run events on time, and they have the most open rule sets. So you need to have those, and if there's enough of them, then we get the guys that and as coaches, we say, all right, everybody, let's go to this Grappling Industries, let's go to this whatever AGF that's coming to town, and let's do that, and then we get a better circuit. You get your guys more experience. You're not going to fight a world-class black belt at typically at a Grappling Industries or an AGF, and that's
you never fucking know, though.
Bro,
you might.
Listen, Marcelo Cohen fucking showed up in Houston in the 135-pound division. I know. Hey, listen. You would have fucked his ass up.
Yeah, I wouldn't have made that weight though. But yeah, I shit on him.
But yeah, man. I mean, like you look at like the tournament game though. I mean, we think that the grappling super fight game is like petty and stuff like that. I had guys that run like daytime tournaments like coming at my throat. Like when I first started, like, are you gonna throw your event on the same day as mine? I'm like, dude, my event is at night. It's
the fucking New Breeds of the world.
It's a completely different. It's
dudes in a high school gymnasium and shit.
Market.
And I kind of got a reputation for kind of being a little blunt or an asshole a little bit because I'm like, I tell these guys, like, there's just been this old culture, and I have tons of respect for people that paved the way, that done what they've done so that we can do what we do. But at the end of the day, man, I think a lot of some of those ways is what has held the sport back. I think a lot of the way things were, or the people, or the connections, or the politics, or the people in place, I think that's what's really held the sport back in some ways. I think if there was a more collaborative approach and a more conjoined community rather than so disjointed, like Allianz here. If we could actually get people on board just to be focused on making the best matches possible, the best tournaments possible, and everybody collaborating with the IBJJF to make the best rules possible, the sport would be better. But everybody's so focused on outdoing the other, or, I'm going to hide my secrets here, I'm going to go train here and there. It's just, I don't know. It's the most amateur professional sport I've ever seen.
100%. To echo that point, my wife asked me the other day, she's like, do you ever think that all these promotions would ever come together to throw come together to throw a major event? And I'm like, no, because there's too many personalities and there's too many people with giant egos. Like co-promotion of boxing happens. Co-promotion MMA hasn't really happened too much. We may see it in the next 5 years.
Well, like Dana when he won FC, Demetrius Johnson, he did the trade with one.
Yeah, and the one FC. And going back to MMA, like I think that's the beginning of co-promotion happening. But in grappling, I think everybody's like, "Oh, my dick's bigger than yours, so it's not going to happen." And the other problem is promotions come and go like the fucking wind. But she asked me that, and it really made me think. It's like, man, if we all piled our resources together to throw a mega show or something like that, how big would it be? But, it's something that's never going to happen.
I've talked to Seth about doing something here in Houston at a 4,000, 5,000 cap venue.
Fucking Emil's in the comment section saying if you want best matches, get him on the card. Nobody gives a shit about Emil.
I've been telling Emil he has a spot on the next card. As long as we don't have the swine flu or whatever come through, Emil, he has a spot. So
COVID-20.
We got a lot of love for those people. But, dude, like you just got to – I don't know. I don't want to get too much into it, but it's –
No, listen, you can always delete this later. Like
I'm not going to delete it.
Listen, we got three very boisterous, straightforward people and Oliver on this podcast. So like I'm all about getting into some fucking deep.
Oh, bro, like I've been taking so much shit the past month, and some of it's self-inflicted. Look, I get it. I stepped out there. I put myself out there. I wanted to do the whole Donald Trump shtick. I wanted to talk a lot of shit, said we were the best. We were making grappling great again. We just wanted, it was all marketing. We were having fun with it. Like people that know me at Jordan, Oliver, even Josh, you to an extent offline, like it's all just to get people like contrived. Like anything that we've done has been to get attention, to get people to tune into our product, good or bad. But what pissed me off is when we do our part, and the next thing people are coming around whispering, "Oh well, he did this and this and that." There's no fucking secret here. Like I'm not rich. My company's not rich, and we've had to get really creative with the way we've paid our athletes, because sometimes we don't get our rights fees from Flow Grappling till 30, 60 days after. So that's a big chunk. I'm talking a big chunk of money, not a little chunk of money. So not only do we have to have that backed up prior to the match, but we also have to, this whole, oh, well, how are you going to throw an event with no backer? I'll tell you right now who one of my backers is. He's up right there. And he's on the stream. So, if people want to talk shit, he's right here. I don't back my events. I'm not going to pay my fighters. We canceled for coronavirus. No, we canceled because we're good fucking human beings. And we wanted to try and salvage a card for Texas only, limit the people coming in from the hot spots from California, Florida, New York, like any smart fucking person did. And we still tried to do it for Texas. And we still got shit for that. But you know what?
We're all good people here except for Jordan because he still has the gym open.
But you know what? I waited till Seth canceled before I canceled, because I was like, you came out, you talk shit on me. I love you to death, man. We squashed our beef, but I'm not canceling my event until you cancel yours. And he canceled his, and then we canceled ours. And here we are. But I got a lot of love for those guys, man. We talked a lot of shit to each other. We've gotten sideways, but we came out of this ready just to get back to work. Positivity, good vibes, and working with each other to the fighter pay thing, like we were talking about, getting that back in line, which I think this is a good reset for that.
And that's a good point to bring up, the fighter pay, because we have Jordan here, again, top 10 at 145 pounds. Like
worth $20K.
How crazy
Rack City
is the fighter pay right now? Like,
make it weigh on me.
Bro, I get Seth's favorite thing to say to me is, you fucking prick, you elevated the fucking market. You inflated the market, you fucking prick. I'm like, dude, I didn't even know what the fuck I was doing. Like, I don't know how much these guys cost. I come in and I throw a number out and they're like, No. I need this much, and I need 2 first-class tickets for my wife and my kid, and I need to have my dog boarded for 3 weeks. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, dude. It's so crazy because it's so all over the place. So you got to kind of get to the point now.
So I got to take a leak and make another drink because I'm ready to go for another fucking hour and a half. But talk to Jordan about this fighter pay bullshit and his opinions on it, because I think Jordan, and I fucking hammered it into his head over and over until he finally got it. I really believe that the fighter pay is a very short-term solution to a problem. Like going on and making, if you can make 20K, make it when you can. Mm-hmm. But it's not that 20K that's going to pay you when you're 50 years old. It's the notoriety from these matches and winning and getting out there and growing your brand that will continue to grow your school and your seminars down the line.
Yeah, man, and I think that when it comes to the fighter pay and the other stuff that goes on, it's all subjective to the fighter. Like, I think that you need to not be so short-sighted. I think you need to look at it long-term. Like me and Jordan have some of the tactics and stuff. Like, look, you guys are going to make money, but right now, let's build together. Let's get some great matches. Let's put you all in some good spots on certain parts of the card. Get people to see your game, and then from there, other promotions are going to bring you in, and so you're going to grow exponentially. So you got to look at the marketing exposure you're getting as well as the financial exposure. Yeah, and I'm telling you right now, Matt Kaplan, I see in the comments, if Seth paid anybody 10 to 15 grand, and he might have paid somebody 10 grand, but Seth's not paying anybody that kind of money. But all of us pay travel, all of us pay hotel for the most part. And what we ended up having to do on that was like, we're tired of booking 20 fucking flights, so here's $450. Or we're tired of booking hotels. I think we still owe Jordan like $100 or something on a hotel. We still got to reimburse. Yeah. But we always do that. I mean, we're trying to get creative with ways to where guys can keep their, get their miles, book their own flights, book their own preferences. If they want to bring a significant other, they can do that. Because when you're trying to deal with, 20, 30 different flight arrangements with all these different people trying to matchmake, and you're a 1 or 2 person, 3 person shop, I mean, it gets to be too much. So, I mean, what do you think?
I think he's right about that, though. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times when we were trying to negotiate the Castell match, he's like, yeah, try to get a little show money. He's like, but I don't give a shit. He's like, you beat Castell, then you could sell that to get, more matches, and you can get more money and later on. And like, so he's always telling me like, yeah, we got to like post videos, post content. I need you to have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. You got to make your Instagram grow. I'm almost at 5,000 followers on Instagram because I post every day. Every single day I make a post.
Every day you post a picture of you versus Frank Rosenthal.
Oh, man, I wish. I'm going to try posting the ones where it looks like he's but yeah, I post as many as I can. You know what I mean? So if I beat you in a match and they got pictures of it, don't follow me, bro, because I'm going to be using that for content. And
famous, right?
Yeah, you got to use what you got, man. And so yeah, we make a lot of posts and stuff. Your gym, if you're a competitor right now and you don't own a gym, you're poor. There's no way that you're going to live, unless you're Gordon or Craig Jones. I don't know of too many guys that are going to live off of comp money. It's just, that doesn't exist.
There's no living off of comp money because you're going to make that. You're going to pay your taxes on it. And then some of these guys, these Brazilian guys or these guys that live out of country, they can't even take win bonus. They can't take win money. They can't take show money. They can take sub bonus money because of some sort of like.
You're going to use that money. You're going to use the money that you make, and you can, even if, let's say you win EBI, right, and you make 11,000 because they bumped it down from 20, but let's say you make 11, right?
What?
Yeah, they made it 11, dude. So it's 2,500 a sub in regulation. But the cool thing is, if you sub your first opponent, you get $500. So you get 500 a show, 500. Everyone gets that first 500 for their first sub. So all first round winners will walk away with 1,000, right? But the champion can only accrue 2,500 per sub in regulation, which they collect if they win. You know what I mean? So the max you can win is 11K. But it used to be 20.
Listen, I know you're watching right now and you do Jiu-Jitsu Times. That's a fucking clip right there. I did not know that EBI dropped from 20K.
I don't want to put Eddie out, but yeah, they did. You know what I mean? Everyone on the show would know.
What I talked to Eddie too about is that they're trying to finish up getting the weight classes done in CJJ so they can kick it back up and get the EBI thing back.
That's what somebody had told me too. But the point being is you're gonna win, money if you're good or whatever. But Josh is right. Seminars, your school, and building your following online. You better be posting on
long term.
And finding a rich daddy jiu-jitsu sponsor
that's
going to pay for you just to type his name on the internet or to, or whatever.
All right, so let's talk about that. I mean, sorry, I feel like I'm taking over, but like,
go ahead.
how fucking weird is it that jiu-jitsu is one of those sports? I'm just waiting for the fucking next fox catcher to happen in jiu-jitsu. Like, fucking rich ass guys coming in and just taking over. And I know, Ryan, you have some opinions on this. Like, I'm friends with a lot of rich guys in jiu-jitsu, but like, honestly, so listen, I hope Bill, my coach, is watching right now, because when I was a purple belt, he like I went over to his gym, and he's not super rich, like, he's not like gazillionaire, but he's very well off. And I'm just like, holy shit, this guy's gonna fucking fox catcher me. And that's all I was thinking as a purple belt until he proved himself. And I was like, oh, this is my fucking guy for the rest of my life.
He's just gonna jerk you off. That's all he's gonna do.
Yeah, right. But how weird is it that we're in a sport where those fox catcher types run rampant?
I'm going to say something that's not going to be very popular. I'm sorry, Oliver, but jiu-jitsu athletes as a whole don't have very much money, because there's not very much money in the sport. So it's very easy for them to be manipulated, or they're maligned by money rather than other things. So in essence,
I'll compete for 24 donut holes.
Exactly. Jordan's easy. Like, but I'm just saying there's a lot of prostitutes that don't have any loyalty.
Jordan demands a fair value in the market.
13 donut holes.
But you got guys that are basically
Full baker.
They're basically prostituting themselves, that are basically doing all this stuff for what? For what? Just it's because somebody said, "Oh, here's some money. Here, go out and do what you want." There's no loyalty there. So it's whoever, like you said when you were talking about the fighter pay, you can take the big money up front now.
Yeah.
But most promotions only have the ability to do that for 1 or 2 shows, and then they go blank. So the fighters suck them dry, and then they go and they're on their way.
Yeah, the whole sugar daddy thing, man.
That's
It's like
what's happened to us.
not
Or
long term at all.
if you, like, man, there was some fucking gymnastics I had to pull on that. But when it comes down to like this fox catcher thing or whatever, there's always going to be rich people that are going to want to, do rich people things. And what looks weird to us, it might not be so weird to them. And when you're raised in that environment, when that's all you have, and you can basically purchase anything you want at the drop of a hat, wouldn't you? I mean, I don't think it's healthy for the sport. I think it creates a kind of a weird kind of betrothed thing, because nothing's free. I mean, they might say, "Oh, yeah, come out and stay with me for free and do this," but nothing's free. Like you give somebody some money.
Yeah, that money will stop coming when you stop supplying them with whatever it is they need at that time.
My coach is in the comment section replying to my fox catcher shit. So I'm laughing.
But the fox catcher thing is real, man. Like, I mean, getting out there and doing all this, like a lot of people like to make that comparison to like a Mo Jossam. With Mo Jossam, I wouldn't say he's really fox catcher, because I think he's served of time in his game. I mean, from what I know, he came in from like a wristband guy, rose up the ranks with the ADCC. He's a big fan of it. But I think the fox catcher stuff is more at the lower level, where you get some of these guys that are really just trying to launder their money and sponsor athletes. You know what I mean?
And that's where I see it too. Like, I'm a big fan of Mo, and I've had a lot of good conversations with him. I really respect what he's doing. But at the lower levels, you see it in the sponsors. And then when you go back to ACB, like, dude, that was a promotion run by a fucking Chechen warlord. Like, shout out to NogiNation.com, a company. There's a mug out there saying you cannot run a company like a Chechen warlord. And that's something I say every fucking day. You can't fucking do that shit, Like, it just does not happen.
Well, I mean, the money that was paid back then with ACB, with Metamoris, with all these pays, some of these guys that have been fighting that long, they still have it in their head. They're like, "Oh, well, I'm still worth that." And me, I didn't know any better, and be like, "Hey, yeah, I want to make the best card ever, so I want to book this guy and this guy. So what do you think about this? No, I want this. Okay, done." And like, we knew we had to overpay early coming into the market, because nobody knew who we were. Everybody was, still like, "Oh, are these guys going to Metamoris us? I don't know what's going on." So it was like, we knew right off the bat that we were going to have to overpay a little bit to get our foot in the door. We knew right off the bat that they were going to have that big marketing push, our second event, to really, to get our name out there and solidify us. And we knew that with our third event, that was going to have to be the one that was like, okay, because most people have a sophomore slump. They'll have an okay first show, second show, kind of, they try to do too much to try to offset maybe what they did too wrong on the first one. And then the third show, you're like, oh shit, now all the wheels are in motion. It's running smoother. And so we got to our third main show, which was Bo Nickel versus Gordon, and it was the best show we've ever thrown. And so I think the longer
That was a
you
really
do
good
it, I
show.
mean, and
Yeah.
at that point we had done 3 qualifier tournaments. We've done a kids event. I mean, it's not like we're out here just, 3 events in the game, 2 events. We've thrown 7 events like that, and 3 out of 7 of them have earned a profit. So I think it's people that in this industry as a whole, there's some listening right now. They go out there, they talk to these people, they get bad information, they repeat the bad information as fact. And next thing you know, you got a bunch of bullshit floating around and nobody knows what the fuck's really going on. If you want to know the facts about somebody's business, about them as an athlete, about them as a podcast host, about whoever, fucking go ask the person, go talk to them. Josh is pretty accessible. Jordan, me, you got a fucking problem? I've got an inbox. Let's figure it
My
out.
DMs are always open, man.
Oh,
Theology,
My DMs are
jiu-jitsu,
way too open.
whatever.
But anyway, what you were saying about that sophomore slump, avoiding all like the other shit that you said, but the sophomore slump is very true. I see all these events come out with their second show. It's like, holy shit, what the fuck happened? Like, who remembers EBI 2?
I do not know.
I remember EBI 1 and EBI 3. I don't know EBI 2.
3 was with Gordon and 1, right?
No, 3 was Gary versus Eddie in the semis.
Oy.
But I like what you're saying. The second one is a big come up. Yours was amazing. I remember my second event. My first one, we lost our fucking ass. Our second event, we made a really good chunk.
We lost our fucking ass too. Our second one.
No, our second one, we made money. Our first one, we lost our ass. Second one, we had fucking Wagner versus Gordon. We had Oliver Taza,
Crazy.
Craig Jones, Nathan Orchard, fucking Bacalao, who was on the whatever the fuck Jordan did, the no time limit one. But like our second event was Shugio. And we had all these guys out there who were fucking the next big thing. Like if you go back to our second event and you look at ABI 11, half the card was guys who competed on our second Zapatero, So what you're saying about the sophomore slump is a really big deal. And I think that's a really good point to make when you're looking at promotions as an athlete about the ones that are going to make it long term. How is their second event compared to their first?
Well, the thing is that you're doing your first event. It's the first time you've ever done it's the first time you've done it. So your second should be an improvement. But I think where people get caught up too much doing is trying to improve too much on the things that they were doing very well, rather than trying to adjust the things that may have done poorly. I don't know. I just think that there's just some sort of disconnect usually between 1 and 2. And with us, ours was we booked too many matches. We ran till 1:30 in the morning. I think Miragali Luke choked Cyborg at like 1:20.
Watching that one.
Yeah, it was a late one.
Yeah,
it was insane, dude.
Yeah.
Like 100.
It was like 2 a.m. I remember watching that shit. Like, oh my god.
I wanted to shoot myself in the back room. Ask these guys. I was so fucking upset. Like I was like, all right, where's the after party? Oh, it's 2 a.m. Well, I guess I can't get fucked up. So I don't know, dude. It was a nightmare. That second event.
It was your more.
It was a long night.
I fucked up by my third match in my own events.
Yeah, man. But the second event was dope. I mean, that match with Marvin and Jordan was definitely, I think, one of the leg exchanges alone. I mean, that is a masterclass. I mean, you had 2 matches on there. You had Wagner versus Ethan, and then you have Jordan versus Marvin. And if you watch those 2 matches alone, you can get a masterclass on leg attacks in the modern game,
defense,
leg attack defense.
So, Ryan, I got a question for you because I know Fight to Win does this. Have you ever thought about a Masters champion in Third Coast Grappling?
I mean, dude, look, championship belts these days are just kind of bullshit.
Yeah,
I mean, they're more symbolic. They're more. I don't believe in the traditional structure of divisions anymore. I mean, I probably should. I do have a lightweight champ. Jordan's our light champ. I think, or
featherweight
champ, 145. And we have champs like that. And I'm gonna be like, all right, you'll be our blue belt 170 if it'll sell the match. Like, you know what I mean? And then that guy will have his belt, and then he'll defend it. I mean, I probably should get more structure, but I don't like it. Like sometimes, like Flow Grappling, they want a lot of your matches to be made based off rankings because they believe that if you make a match number 1 versus number 3, that's the match to make. When I say is sometimes number 1 versus number 9 is way sexier, way more exciting, way more fun than number 1 versus number 3. So that's why I'm not that big of a fan on ranking based matchmaking, where a lot of people do go that way.
No, I totally agree with that because I work with John Combs, and I was telling him he's like number 10 at 170. I'm like, dude, between number 4 and you, there's not a match we want to take because it's like a bunch of Brazilians that nobody fucking knows. But 1 through 4 is JT Torres all the way down to Gary Tonin. You know, JT, Dante, Gary, and Renato Canuto at 170. And
Dante and John Combs. Dante and John would be good.
Listen, Dante and John, and I love both those guys. Those are two of my favorite human beings. Or Renato, throw Renato. Listen, of those 5 guys, Gary, John, Dante, and Renato.
4-way.
Well.
Let's do a 4-way tournament.
Do a Royal Rumble.
Listen,
All
that
4 of them.
all those matches, there's 5 matches there that would not disappoint, you know? And
Tag team match.
like I know Kasai is very big in those ranking matchups, and I agree with what you're saying. The rankings don't always mean good matchups. You look at the UFC, like number 1 versus number 15 may be a better fight than number 1 versus number 2. It all comes down to stylistic matchups.
And it looks to the heat too. You got to look at the storyline, like you said, stylistically. Yeah, like when I made Craig Jones versus Josh Inger, people were like, "Why didn't I think of that?" I'm like, dude, you've got Craig who plays a Z guard. You got Josh who's an aggressive top player who's gonna, you know, try to. At the moment, at the time, I thought he would do that. Now, if that fight happened again, I think Josh is going to keep the hips back. He's going to try and do his thing. I don't think it would be as exciting as I initially thought. But, I mean, you've got to look at the styles. You got to look at the storyline. You got to look if they fought before. And then ask Jordan. I will put a group message between me and 2 of the athletes and be like, look, it's like, let's sell the fuck out of this. Let's make it fun. The more heat there is behind it on social media, the more there is, the better it's going to be for everybody. So I'll even get athletes even up involved on selling the – Jordan's easy. He sells his fights anyways. But, I mean, other guys take a little bit more prodding, and – to bring that pro wrestling style over to jiu-jitsu is kind of what I want to do. I want to make pro wrestling real. I want to have a real Royal Rumble. I want to do that shit.
So I know you're not a huge fan of Matt Kaplan, but he gave me a huge, really
I don't even know Matt Kaplan. Like that's the thing. Like I don't fucking even know who the fuck this guy is. People keep saying Matt Kaplan.
Everybody hates Matt Kaplan.
Matt's the underground king.
Matt
the underground king
are the 2 guys in the world where I'm like, everybody fucking hates you, and 90% or 50-50. I either love you or I hate you 50% of the time. Matt and Emil, I flip back and forth between the 2 of them. But Matt gave me a really good piece of advice. You don't need Jerry Lawler outside of Memphis, you know? And as a promoter, that's something I really took in my head and really, really sat on it and let it marinate, you know? You need the Andy Kaufmans of the world. You only need Jerry Lawler in every city you go to sell those things, you know?
No, and he's smart. And I went back and listened to some of his shit talk about us, but, you know, it was unsustainable this and that. And I mean, the numbers he had, he was saying I was paying the Tackets this amount of money. And,
God.
And I'm like, bro.
I'm not going to do it because, like, we have guys on here and the Tackets, like, we love them. We want them to get paid by bigger events.
No, I do. And I'm telling you, the Tackets are my boys. Jordan's on the same team with these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all boys. Like the Professor Rodrigo, great guy. I talk to him all the time. I mean, I love those guys. So they're so bad. I'm just saying that I think in jiu-jitsu people, like, in what other industry do you go around talking about how much you got paid? Do you ever go into like your 9 to 5 and you're like, "Hey, John, nice to see you. How much was your paycheck this Friday?" "Oh man, you know, I got shorted a couple of hours. You know, I made this and that." Like, it's taboo, man. And I think that's how it should be in grappling, because there are deals that are made, there are things that are done that are being done because of things that people wouldn't get. Other athletes wouldn't get. They don't understand your personality.
Bro, if I was paid some crazy amount or some shit, I'd be afraid to tell other people that it would get back to the guy that paid me and be like, "Motherfucker, why did you tell him that shit?" Now you're not gonna get paid shit. You know what I mean? I'd be like
Marigali tried to leverage.
I've had that conversation with you, Jordan, many, many times.
Marigali tried to leverage our contract with him when we had him out against Cyborg, against Seth, to be like, "Hey, well, Ryan paid me this," and Seth was like, "Fuck you! I'm not going to pay you what Ryan paid you," you know. But it's like these guys go and do that. So I'm like, I think there needs to be a little bit more professionalism. If people want us grappling promoters to be more professional, how about you don't fucking pull out of a fight a week before the fight? How about you don't do all, why don't you be a professional athlete? You don't want us to cancel events. You don't want us to change matchups around, but you can pull out fights. You can do all these other things. I think there just needs to be a mutual respect there, and just realize, look, we're not perfect. We're all going to make mistakes. Sometimes you got to cancel an event. Sometimes you got to pull out of a fight, but don't be a fucking dickhead about it.
No, I think that's a good point. It's kind of like where Josh is at, though. I think jiu-jitsu, especially right now, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to have like management for some of these guys out there, because there is marketability there. I mean, there is money to be made, but I mean, we've seen it at some of our events. You have these guys, you pay them the money, you get them on the event. They don't they don't promote shit. You watch their social, it's blank, you know, they don't do their part. And then all of a sudden they come back later and they still want this money, you know, like having a good management team for you or someone to actually go in there and do this shit for you to keep your money going would be super helpful for a lot of these guys. There's a lot of fingering going on right now.
We're gonna do
Rocket, take your hat off. Show your haircut to the world.
This is what happened. I got fucking bald.
Oh my god!
He had to quarantine his head, man.
Bro, your hair.
Turn the light off, man. We're getting a reflection. It's like turning the camera. There we go.
I'm
looks good, man.
Because I feel like you have a really unique perspective on all this stuff we're talking about. But it's the same problem. You're gonna find these high-level athletes like. I'm going to throw him under the bus. Caio Terra's management is fucking horrible, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of management in parentheses or quotation marks that is ridiculously bad.
Bro, your Substars friends, I'm not even going to start.
Listen, don't even call them friends. They're not my friends. I did that as a favor because
there's people. They're from Florida.
About that shit.
We grew up together.
And what sold me was they were donating the pay-per-view buys, supposedly, to what was the charity, the veterans?
We Defy Foundation.
We Defy, yeah. So that's what sold me, and that's why I did that shit for free. But dude, like,
you're saying they're your people.
Shut up.
Well, dude, they honey dick the veterans, and that was another reason I got pissed off.
Everybody.
Because I fucking, like, we've sat on stage, and have given $2,000 checks here, $1,000 checks here. We don't just talk about giving back to veterans. Like, all these guys that were like, I'm going to give my proceeds for my tickets to the veterans. Nobody's going to buy a fucking ticket. Nobody's going to buy your pay-per-view. It's all for marketing. Like, that's all it was. Like, it's
investment, man.
Charities to exploit it to virtue signal. That's all I'm saying. Like, stop using charity to make it seem like you're a good person.
Oh no, I got the corona. Oh no.
That's why we were doing it this way instead of live.
That's all I'm saying is, look,
social distance.
Oh man, why's my girl Olivia got to call me out about my hat, my bald head?
What's up with the hat? Oh, did you see what's underneath the hat, Olivia? One more time, Ryan.
So I want to see.
Suggestion.
Happening.
I shouldn't do this. Like when you're doing these podcasts, especially with this software, you're seeing those comments and being like, "Hey, guess what? You can ask a question. We might answer it on air." It really helps with the viewership.
You know, if we can get Josh drunk enough, we might be able to start doing some truth or dare or something. Like, let's do some Edward 40 hands, like, you know, tie some 40s to our hands.
You think there's mixer in here? This has been rum all night. I'm on my third glass of straight.
Bro, this is my second IPA. I don't drink much anymore, and I'm already like, I don't know. I feel like, I'm not going to give that.
Water right here, dude.
I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. Something about management. We were talking about earlier how the barrier to entry is very low in grappling in general for promotion.
It's even lower for grappling managers.
Yeah, even lower. Yeah. Like you're saying they need management, but
silver tongue.
Good management.
Yeah,
you're the only one I would talk to. You and then Victor Doria, and then I eventually stopped talking to him.
I remember Jordan texted me. He's like, "Hey, Ryan said don't message him because you're my manager. I don't want to deal with managers." I'm like,
because I don't like dealing with them. Like,
dude, I get it. Like from my first event, you know who the worst manager, and we made up, but like for 3 years, me and Gordon and Gary's management did not get along. And I'm not going to say his name because he's a really good guy and he's got a bad rap on it. But Gordon and Gary's management and myself for 2-3 years did not get along because I was just like, fuck management.
What's that guy's story anyways? Like, I mean, it went from like, because like me and him, because I've always dealt with Gordon. I never really dealt with him.
By the way, Cody, this is all cracking. Anyways, go ahead.
But I've always dealt with Gordon, and then, you know, like, what's the story with all that? Is it just like a homie from Henzo's that started managing, or was it just? I mean, I don't know. I don't know the whole story with all that stuff.
It's pretty much homie shit, but Gordon's management does a really good job right now. You know, like, and you can see Gordon and Nicky Rod from their sponsorship aspect of it. And I don't know your dealings with them.
Well, Nicky Rod's dealing with Jay Regal Budo, and like Jay's a fucking.
I love Jay.
And you know, me and Jay have even butted heads back in the day over the Nicky Rod, like, and that's something I want to clear up. Like when that happened, when we had there was some jabroni Kmart event here that came up. And, they came up and they were like, "We're gonna do this."
That woman abuser.
Yeah, that's. But no, the guy. So he throws this event and he's telling us, "Oh, we're gonna do team events. We're gonna do this. It's all gonna be collaborative. We're gonna do this." And it's 2 weeks before my event, so I'm like, "All right, cool." Well, eventually people kept dropping out because there was red flags. Jordan knows a lot about it too, but he's not going to get involved. But there was like a lot of people that kept like pulling out, and things kept changing. And then next thing you know, it's a full-on super fight event. I have my event 2 weeks later, and then he books Nicky Rod as his headliner, and they pay him $5,000 cash up front. And so I'm like in the middle of this domestic violence push. You know, my mom was abused. It's something I'm really close to. But there's also some there's some stuff that came out that I used unfairly a little bit. But it was a combination of, we do have a clause. If you're competing for another promotion in our city within 2 weeks, or it's usually 2 to 4 weeks, we don't want you competing for another promotion if you're going to compete for us, especially if you're selling tickets or your big draw. So Nicky Rod was going to go headline then, and then come fight for Fabricio Verdum on my card 2 weeks later. I was like, you've got to pick either or, bro. And that was kind of where that was at. But it was never like, a dubious reason as outlined in an article. It was business. It is what it is.
But look, I'm going to sound like I'm sucking your dick here, but from promoting and management perspective, I totally understand that. A 2 to 4 week clause is pretty much standard. Like if you're in Houston is a big market, but it's not massive, Doing an event on the 1st of April and an event on the 30th of April, your ticket sales on the 1st are going to be much higher than on the 30th. So it makes sense, having a 2 to 6 week clause makes total sense.
Here's the issue.
That guy's a piece of shit. And Cody Barker, get your ass back to training, you piece of shit.
Here's the issue. Like me and Eric are the main event.
You're not a fucking DJ, dude.
Yeah. Me and Eric Garcia are the two promoters in Houston. And so here's the issue. We both know when the good times are to book shows in Houston. We both know that. So he's been booking his a couple of weeks before mine. But we haven't really had too many rubs. Like people will be like, okay, I'll do your event. Or, okay, well, I'm loyal to Eric. I'm going to do his. Look, we don't want to start any of that type of stuff. Like, look, if you're fighting for him, fight for him. But when events are getting that close together, how am I going to ask you to sell 10 tickets for my event, go and then sell 10 tickets for that event? And you're basically just going to split your turnout and split your efforts on the card. And it's not good for a promoter, and shouldn't be good for an athlete either. If you want to have
it's not good for the longevity of the sport.
For anyone, like if you want to maximize your ticket sales, you want to have one event a month, maybe one event every 6 weeks, because you want to maximize your profits on the commission you're making on your ticket sales as well as the purse you're making. So and this is the problem. Like my coach Bill said this to me for many years. He's like, why the hell are you wasting your time and talent on the sport of jiu-jitsu? Because they don't understand just basic economics, Like, look at your average gym promoter. He's chasing down payments on the first of the month instead of having an automatic billing software and all that shit. But
oh boy.
But with that being said, like, jiu-jitsu is not the market you want to sell your product in. So they don't understand that they're going to make more money if they do one event a month. They're going to try to book 3 events in 4 weeks because they're like, oh man, I can make this much to show on each one. And they're not thinking about how many tickets they could sell to each event. And they just don't do the math. Jiu-jitsu athletes in general don't understand how to do basic math.
They just get kind of appealed by flashy numbers up front. It's kind of like that longevity
and
we were talking about earlier.
And that's nothing against the athletes, because you know what? There are some really good athletes that do their part. They promote their fights. They sell their tickets. They do. Jordan's one of them. He's a great example. Yeah, I mean, he's a great example. But there's a lot of them that do them. But the ones that don't, either they don't know they're doing it wrong, or they just don't fucking care. So that's kind of where you get it, especially with hobbyists. Hobbyists don't care. They just want their mom and their dad and their friends to come out and see them and
making $20 on fucking.
Yeah, they don't even lift. They don't lift. They don't drill. They don't watch tape.
They probably ate pizza right before they went on. I mean, it's
exactly.
Everybody gives me shit for all the MMA I fought was technically amateur, but every fight I had, I made over $2,000 a fight. And as an amateur, like, I'm not sure how much you guys understand.
Illegal.
No, it's on commission, dude.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know if you guys understand, like, pro fighters in their first fight make between $500 and $750, maybe $1,000.
The UFC paid $250, like, just to show for something. Like, and this was like less than 10 years ago. Like UFC Houston, like these guys were making nothing.
Look at Bellator; they make $1,000 and $1,000 for their pro fights.
And CTE,
so as an amateur, making $2,000 as an amateur fighter to beat up a bunch of bums, because I understand the ability to leverage your audience into ticket sales and make your fucking money off of that, off commission. Like, that's something that most jiu-jitsu athletes don't understand. So it goes back to pro wrestling. Like, I went to an indie pro wrestling show maybe a year ago, and there was easily 1,500 people in attendance at the Orlando National Guard Armory, and they had maybe 20 teeth between all 1,500 of them, but they all paid $20 at the door, So you have to find that middle line between hardcore MMA enthusiast, jiu-jitsu enthusiast, and the pro wrestling aspect of it, and that's where you find the profit for everybody involved, because at the end of the day, it comes down to everybody making money. If the promotion isn't making money, the athletes won't make money. If the athletes aren't making money, promotion won't make money.
Another thing too is like, man, in the comments here, we got people like, oh, I got a job and things and shit. You know what I mean? Which is good, man. That's good, right?
Hating on you for that.
Yeah, no one's hating that. But here's the comment that I wanted to make about the whole thing is like, you're not a professional grappler. You don't aspire to be a professional grappler, and that's okay. But a Third Coast event is probably not for you. You know what I mean? If you want to get on a Third Coast event, you're going to have to fucking push the envelope and be a badass. And, like, I'll give you an example. I was on Zapatero. First time I got invited to Zapatero, right, for Josh. And I heard about Zapatero. I knew what it was. I wanted to make money, and I wanted to get on a big stage. I totaled my car on the way to the airport.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
I got my mom to drive me halfway to Warden, and Alana picked me up from there. I got on the fucking flight, and I went and faced the guy that ended up winning the damn deal in the first round. And I knew I was going to face the favorite coming into the first round. I don't care, because that's so a lot of what we're saying, Bodo, a lot of what we're saying, brother, is that it's a delineation between hobbyists and pros. You know what I mean? And
people
so, like,
train for different reasons, man. Like,
100%.
Like, I mean,
but a Third Coast big event against the guys that are the best in the world is going to be for guys that are the best in the world. It's not going to be for guys that just want to take the weekends off and they want to fucking eat pizzas every other weekend and shit. That's not the fucking deal, man. Yeah, exactly.
And when it comes down to putting like throwing a grappling event, I want you to sell tickets. I want you to be able to sell your match. I want you to put on a show, but I want you to be a good person. I don't want you to be a piece of shit. I want you to be easy to deal with. And I don't want to have I don't want to have your girlfriend messaging me, asking me for stuff, or I don't want to have like your girlfriend who's your manager now, or your coach that barely speaks English, and I'm having to use Google Translate basically to tell him to fuck off because I'm not going to pay that much money. And like, it's just something like, do business the right way. Like us, even we fucked up doing it. Like most business done in grappling, this is how it is. It's Instagram messages or it's Facebook Messenger. And that's how professional we've gotten. Like we're so professional that we're doing contract negotiations on WhatsApp, Instagram, or Facebook Messenger.
What did I say? Let's scroll back and find out what I said. What was the wait? Let me figure out what we said.
Exactly. Let me screenshot. All right. The screenshot works as a contract.
That works perfect.
Like, it's still so bush league, and we have a lot of formalizing on our end to do as well. I don't even think Fight to Win does contracts, and I think that's just Seth's whole, my word is my bond thing. And if we didn't do them, it would be a lot. It would save a lot of time. I'll tell you that much. But man, it's just at the end of the day, I got a lot of respect for Seth. I got a lot of respect for anybody that's come in and put their dick out there to help grow the sport and to do something good for the athletes. And that's all there is to it. I don't want to sit here and tear people down anymore. I don't want to sit here and get in fights, but don't say my name. Don't come at us. Don't talk shit about us, because we're out of that business too ourselves. We're not going to come at you. We're not going to talk shit, but we will always defend ourselves, either legally or I'll get on a podcast and tear your bitch ass down. It doesn't matter. One of the two. No, I'm just kidding. But so Josh, what's up, man? You look cool.
Hey, nobody asked me about my fucking competitive career or anything like that. If I'm coming back, any of that shit, nobody asked me any questions about that.
Because Josh, I looked at you and I was like, competitive career? Which competitive are we talking about?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. There's Cody's already worried you're going to go to his house and kick his ass. So is that going to be the return?
Listen, I haven't competed in probably over a year and a half, because last time I competed, I broke a guy's leg. His tib,
gnarly,
and it fucked me up. But I'm telling you right now, there will be more Star-Lord on the competitive stage. In the last year and a half, I have recovered from all my injuries. I started lifting weights. My jiu-jitsu has gotten through the roof. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going on a Legends killing spree.
Who's your first call out?
Look at him. He's cutting his promo right now.
I've already messaged Phil Baroni.
You should hit Omar first. Omar Emerald first.
No, fuck Omar. Phil, yes. New York badass Baroni from the UFC and myself will have a match.
No, tell Phil Baroni and y'all can call me and we'll do it down in Houston. It doesn't matter. We can do it on the Jersey card.
And listen,
matter.
I was going to do it on one of my own cards, but Ryan, if you want to have that on your show, I will come down and take out Phil Baroni in under 5 minutes.
All right,
for sure.
You know, in the grappling world, this is a legally binding contract, right? We just discussed this.
It's a virtual handshake, bro. I'm sorry.
Right now, drunk off my ass, I will submit Phil Baroni in under 3 minutes.
Baroni can't stand a chance.
What does Baroni rhyme with? Just say it with me, Josh. Jabroni. I don't think he has.
Jabroni.
He's scared.
Phil Jabroni.
Phil Jabroni. That's his name.
And I'm telling you right now, after that, Jeff the Snowman Munson will be next, and Gabriel Gonzaga. I'm going on a Legends killing spree.
Wow.
Bro, why do you do that to Gonzaga after what? Who was that? Was that Gordon or was that Craig that fucking
Gordon. That was
Gordon.
Oh, man.
I will not be nice to him. And I have a track record to prove it. If you don't tap quick, your shit's getting broken. Whether it's an arm, a leg, it will be broken in half.
Oh, man.
I believe it.
Well, hey, guys, let's fucking tie this up. This has gone over like an hour and 20 minutes longer than we normally do. But I had a blast, man. We talked a lot of shit. Look, it's all love here. Let's just get through this shit together. Let's see. Let's throw some badass events on the other side and fuck what everybody else has got to say. Let's just stay in our own lanes. Keep doing good for jiu-jitsu. Cheers, guys.
Take it easy, y'all.
How do I turn this shit off? I'm just like,
Right corner.
I know how to do it. I was
Right
just
corner.
Serious about that shit though.